you about my sponsor, NobleBitcoin.com. Did you know that Bitcoin has surged past $12,000? Pretty remarkable. And Bloomberg says it will go up to $28,000. Some are even predicting it will make a run to $500 this year. As the pandemic shows no signs of slowing down and the country is officially in a recession, the dollar is losing its value, and we all know this. It's time to invest in currencies that are on their way up, like Bitcoin. This is so true. And if you want to know more about your options, the Noble Bitcoin team is here to help. Call them today at 877-646-5347 or go to www.noblebitcoin.com. Again, that is www.noblebitcoin.com. Thanks, guys, for listening to this ad, and I hope you enjoy the podcast.
Seus Lucifer matutinus inveniat, ille inquam Lucifer qui nescito casum, Christus filius tuus, qui regressus ab inferis, humano generis serenus iluxit, et tecum vivit et regnat in saecula saeculorum.
Well, are we 5 by 5, ladies and gentlemen? It looks like we sure are. We have Punisher and Stop to Go. Welcome, friends, to the 4th episode of True History, the Untold Stories. And as you can see from the intro video, we are speaking on the Vatican. This is a 3-hour-long special show. I hope you are so stoked. Each and every one of you, I want you to smash the like button. I want you to share this stream. I want you to like this stream. And I want you to post it on all of your social media, because I can promise you this. These two gentlemen have done 2 weeks worth of research on this, and I think you're going to be blown away. I hope you are. Just make sure you show your love. Follow each and every one of us on Twitter, and just make sure you show your love and support. Punisher, Stop to Go, welcome back, my friends. It's good to have you aboard.
How's it going, brother?
It's good to be here, my friend. I think you guys have done your research. I actually know you have. And we had the links ready to go, the pictures ready to go. I just hope that, my friends, again, we are not here to offend anyone. But what has taken place with the Vatican for centuries is absolutely what we think it should not be. This I can promise you. We all know that organized religion can be a problem. And once they indoctrinate the theories that they go by and what goes on within the church, I think you know what I'm talking about without getting too specific. It just does not sit well with most people who believe in light and love. Am I right, my friends?
Absolutely.
Amen.
It's not a good thing. Guys, go ahead and take it away whichever way you want to. I had the links ready to go again, and I hope you guys are just going to sit back with your popcorn and enjoy the show. So, Pun or Stop to Go ahead and let loose, my friends.
I'll tell you what, Pun, before you go, and I know Pun's been like a raging pit bull on a leash ready to get this episode going. That's how ready he is to take on the Vatican. But, we're going to be taking on such an immense amount of knowledge in this episode and history that has been hidden from you guys for just way too long. And because of that, there have been forces at play this last couple of weeks like I would, could have never imagined. But I'll tell you what, God is triumphant. And because of that, I kind of just wanted to start real fast with a quick prayer, if that's cool, because I've been just mystified by the glory of it all. that I've been able to, walk my path and continue and do this with you guys, because it's just been a blessing in disguise. But I
Absolutely.
just wanted to say,
Sure, Tony. Just check your mic real quick, okay?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Is that better?
Yes,
Yeah,
100%.
Better. All right. So I just wanted to say, Heavenly Father, thank you very much for everything you've continued to give us throughout this period of darkness, and allowing us to find the light. And, all of us, not any one of us has the answer, but I know that, with the light that we all shine, that we can find it. And I just wanted to say thank you, and all praise be. Thank you to the Patriots and everyone out there who support us and given us words of encouragement along the way. It's meant the world to us, I know.
Amen.
Amen.
I like it.
Go ahead,
It's a good way to start it, because we are about to delve. We're about to delve into some darkness that a lot of people do.
Oh,
They take it on the chin, guys. They don't like this, and
I'm shaking because it's that big.
it's that big. Yeah,
I'll take a
exactly.
quote from the movie The Matrix. You're about to see how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Absolutely. So you guys want to take it away? I will go ahead and share some images. I think most of us have seen this, but I will start bringing in some images if either one of you want to go ahead and take it away.
All right. I think I
Okay,
want to go
fine.
ahead and kind of continue where you left off, Thomas. Just to kind of throw a disclaimer out there, we're not here to persuade or influence anybody on their religious beliefs in any way, shape, or form. Me and Stop to Go are just here to report history and facts and what you haven't been told in this indoctrinated education system. So if anything we say upsets you or offends you, please do your own research. Find out for yourself. We're just here to report facts. So we're not here to upset anybody. We're not here to ruffle feathers. So with that being said, continue with your own discernment. But
There we go.
all right, going forward, the last 3 episodes, we've shown a careful, calculated plan on how these satanic bloodline families slowly infiltrated nations and took them over. Even within the United States, being infiltrated by the Nazis behind the scenes. And what we want to do on this episode is show you what motivates them in a more darker sense, not the money and power, but the religious sense or the biblical sense. So, and we want to show the more darker agenda side of that. So, before we get to the Vatican, to fully understand the Vatican, you need to know the history of the Roman Catholic Church. And this takes us back to the Church of Rome, who actually gained recognition from the Roman Empire. Upon gaining its recognition, the church accepted various gods of Rome and religious customs to become acknowledged as a Roman religion. Okay? The birth of the Roman Catholic Church has many characteristics of Roman polytheism. If you don't know what that is, I highly recommend you look it up, because I won't have enough time to explain it. All right, this goes all the way back to the Apostle Paul, who preached the gospel across Palestine, Asia Minor, Greece, and then finally Rome. The initial stage of the church was not welcome in Rome due to the conflict of Christian monotheism and Roman polytheism. Christianity believed in a God, to where Romans believed in gods with an S. In these Roman times, their polytheism beliefs were against Christianic values, and thus the Romans at the time approved all religious beliefs upon anyone that they conquered throughout their wars and conflicts. Thus, more the Romans persecuted all Christians who wouldn't submit to the Roman Catholic Church values. Now, we're going to keep getting into that. I know I'm going to go a little bit fast, but it'll make sense as I go on. A slight turning point in this is the 3rd century. Emperor Constantine in 313 proclaimed the Edict of Milan, which gave Christians legal privileges and was immune from military duty and taxes. Now, Constantine tried his best to unify Rome under Christianity, under one religion of Christianity. But his teachings lacked the knowledge of what the Roman Empire already instilled in its people, that they were already taught to believe, to worship the sun goddess Mithras the sun god of Rome. Through the influence of Constantine, was able to expunge, at least for now, the persecution and contempt of Christians so far. However, Constantine failed addressing the former beliefs of the Roman Catholic Church to the people. So stay with me. I know it's going to be a lot to consume, but just bear with me. Pagan customs flowed rampant inside the church, such as obelisk, elevation unto the sun, the lion, which is actually the Babylonian goddess, the eagle, yes, the eagle, which is the winged sun god Mithras. So keep that in mind. To attract more pagans, the Church of Rome Christianized various pagan gods to suit the Bible so that they could make this transition happen. The most familiar among the pagans was the sun god worship tradition. The Church of Rome identified Jesus as the sun god. Numerous symbols of the sun god, which is not Jesus, I'll get into that later, can be found within the Catholic Church and the Vatican everywhere, such as the Church of Gesù in Italy, St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican, St. Vitus Cathedral in the Chechnya Republic, the Basilica of St. Antonio in Italy, the Bulgarian Orthodox Church in Rome, the Church of Santa Maria in Venice, and the Berlin Cathedral in Germany. They're all connected. We're going to tie all that together in just a little bit. Constantine continuously tied Christians to the sun god. In 321, Constantine made the first holiday of the week the Sun Day, or the Venerable Day of the Sun. The Christian church took upon many pagan ideas, such as the birth of the sun or sun, both of them, as in Horus, the sun, on December 25th, which is not the day Jesus Christ was born. Christianity blended with the Romans, polytheism losing its purity. So the Roman Catholic Church basically ruined their purity through the merger of the Christian Church and the Roman Catholic Church, becoming the Roman Catholic Church. So since 321 AD, as far back then, the church has already been infiltrated by pagan worship through the Roman Empire's demand. Thus, ultimately, through the power of the Roman Catholic Church, become the heads of churches through Emperor Constantine. If there's any questions, I know, just throw them out there. I know, I got a lot to cover. Because of Constantine's policies, many who believed in pagan gods converted to Christianity because of his failure of acknowledgement. So what pagan worships, here's some of the pagan worships that were indoctrinated into Christianity. Now, these are not originally Christian idolatries. All right. In 300 AD, adopted prayers for the dead from Hellas. 320 AD, adopted wax candles worship from pagans, the sun god, Mithras. In 321 AD, the abolish of the Sabbath, adopted Sunday service for sun god, Mithras. In 325 AD, the abolish of the Passover of the Bible. In 354, introduced Christmas, the birthday of the sun god, the sun Horus. 375 AD, began the worship of dead saints. Now keep in mind, the Bible says you don't worship anyone but God. You don't worship saints. This is the ideals that's been installed into Christianity through the Roman Empire. But continuing, 431 AD, began the worship, Mary, from the goddess worship of pagans, began to exalt Mary with the Mother of God title. That's going to come into play later. 600 AD, taught to pray to Mary, dead saints, and angels. 709 AD, legislated for the kissing of the Pope's foot. 890 AD, began to worship Joseph, the father of Jesus. Now, these are just a few to name. After the Church of Rome accepted pagan idolatry, which is worshiping idols instead of God, if anyone doesn't know what that word means, it was backed by all the kings at that time. And anyone who went against the church was considered treasonous at the state. So the Pope became immensely powerful throughout Rome, who wielded more power than actually the kings themselves. Pope Gregory VII quoted, "The Pope could not be judged by any man on earth and could dethrone emperors and kings," which is what he did to Henry IV, king of the Holy Roman Empire at that time. The Pope is simply beyond accountability at this point. No one could expose the church throughout Europe without being exiled or for trying to expose the church's corruption at the time.
Hmm.
Many popes committed heinous crimes such as murder, blasphemy, simony, adultery, just to simply stay in power. Such popes are these, and these are examples. Pope Sergius III, he attained by papal office for murder. He was obtained by the papal office for murder. Pope John VII was condemned for blasphemy, simony, perjury, murder, adultery, and incest. Pope Innocent III killed 1 million people. Pope Sixtus IV, adultery, and gave birth to 8 of his nephews, or impregnated 8 of his nephews. 8. Pope Benedict IX, robbing pilgrims, murder, and adultery. Pope Boniface VIII, atheism. Yeah, he was a pope and he was an atheist. Simony, immorality, idolatry, and magic. He was involved in sorcery, and this was a pope. Pope Pius II, adultery and rapist of his own children. Pope Alexander VI committed bribery, incest, and produced a child with his own daughter. Pope Leo X collected art and masterpieces, and he actually invited Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, and Raphael, and they richly ornamented the church, with all the fancy decorations, the sculptures, all that. He constructed the foundation of St. Peter's Basilica, which is the foundation of the Vatican where it started. But he ran out of money, and he started printing a massive amount of indulgences. So here's another big sin you're going to like. Indulgences are a way, according to the Roman Catholic Church, as a way to pay for your sins by giving money to the church. It's a certificate to buy your way into heaven, which we all know is complete BS. Indulgences are one of the biggest profits of the Roman Catholic Church at that time. And many, through fear of hell, and that's what they preached at the time, if you don't buy indulgences, you're going to hell. They all played into this so that they believed that they could buy their way into heaven. Now, it's quoted in the Bible that only God can forgive their sins. When Jesus saw their faith, their sins are forgiven. Matthew 9:2. All right. But the Roman Catholic Church insisted that it had the authority to forgive people's sins. They wanted to go beyond the Bible. They thought they were more powerful than God's word. And we're going to get into that too. Now, through false teachings and the scale of indulgences, like the Catholic Church became beyond corrupt. And this is when we come into the Inquisition. The Inquisition was ran by the Roman Catholic Church. Just shows how satanic the Catholic Church really is. The Inquisition was established for religious trials, and it was created by the Roman Catholic Church to target heretics. Heretics are defined by the Church as those who oppose the indoctrinations of the Pope. So if you go against the Pope, you're labeled a heretic. The popes wanted to remove the Bible itself and to condemn those who read it as heretics, such as Pope Alexander III. He labeled those who read the Bible as heretics and confined Christians to give up their property if they did not cooperate. Pope Innocent III, instituted the Inquisition, and he launched crusades to combat heresy. Now, keep in mind, heresy is anybody that goes against the Pope indoctrination. And millions of Christians were killed because of that. Pope Gregory the Ninth, he punished heretics who didn't repent and appointed the order of Saint Dominicus as the Inquisitor. Pope Innocent IV, explicitly authorizing torture and command to burn all those who oppose Catholicism. Examples: Bruno, a medical astronomer who was charged as a heretic by the Catholic Church, was burned at the stake. His only crime was that he denied the geosymmetric theory and insisted on the heliosymmetric theory. Galilei, who fortified that the earth evolves around the sun, and yet because of that he was declared a heretic. He was murdered. Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc was burned at the stake as a witch for her Christian views. All right, to stay in power, the Catholic Church was accused those who opposed them as heretics and eliminated them. You had no right of counsel if you were labeled a heretic. Those who were charged with heresy were imprisoned for life or executed by fire or other torturous means. The Inquisition was the most satanic agenda in human history, and we're going to get into that. It was devised by the popes themselves and used by them to maintain power for the next 500 years. Till this day, no pope has ever apologized for their crimes. Historians estimate that in the Middle Ages, over 50 million perished at the hands of the papacy, the Pope, during the Dark Ages of the Roman Catholic Church. Over 50 million people killed in the name of peace, following torture devices that were used and other methods by the name of the Catholic Church. Now, some of the devices used in this are medieval devices. Some of them you may know, some of them you may not. The Iron Maiden, which was a sarcophagus to impale victims with 8-inch long spikes. You stand in it, they close the doors, you get impaled, and you slowly bleed to death.
Mm-hmm.
There was the wheel, binding the victim to the wheel and slowly rolling them over a fire, hot coals, or spikes. The Pope Inquisitions was gives any unwilling Christians as much pain as possible, including, and there's heretics forks, there's cat's paw, there's many others. Cat's paw is kind of like a sharp hook. It just tears skin off your flesh while you're alive. There's Judas Cradle. A Judas Cradle is a pyramid-shaped device where you're slowly inserted on through your rectum, and your own body weight forces it to slowly split your body in. Well, okay, I'm sure you probably get the rest of that.
Sure.
I don't want to go too much more into that.
No, but I understand. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. And there's other things that they used pliers to pull out fingernails. They use other devices to pull out the eyes of Christians, burn sensitive organs and parts, crush fingers and toes, all with mechanical torture devices. So it was not pretty. I mean, this was not just condemning them. This was very ugly.
They're sadists.
Yes. They are, and they don't even know it.
Correct.
Many Christians were burned alive and hailed as heretics, as they were, and many were actually tied and gagged, and they were prodded over hot coals. You know what prodded is, right?
No. Let tell the people at home what that means.
Okay. You have a bar going in your rear, coming out your mouth, and you're over a hot coal or a hot fire.
Like a pig at a barbecue.
Yes, this is what they done to Christians in the Middle Ages.
Yes.
Many Christians who survived some of these torture methods, and if they still denied the Roman Catholic Church, they had hot lead poured in their mouth. The persecution of anti-Catholics continued into the millions during the Dark Ages, such as, here's a couple examples. In 1209, and Beziers, over 6,000 people were slain to death. In 1211, at Lavar, over 100,000 were burned alive. In 1220, in Marindal, 500 women were rounded up in one room and burned to death. Sorry.
It's okay.
In 1562, the massacre of Orange, executed by Pope Pius IX, was commanded to slay men, women, and children of those who oppose the Roman beliefs. In 1572, 100,000 people were massacred, known as the Massacre of Huguenots in Paris, France. Over 15 million people were slaughtered during the Dark Ages. Now, I'm going to kind of get a brief description into the creation of the Vatican because of time, and then I'm going to hand it off to Stop to Go. Okay, the overall creation of the Vatican, it's a century-long process, so there's no really begin point.
I do want to say something. I do want to interject real quick with you, Pun, real quick. Somebody posted in the chat. I looked it up, and it's actually true as I bring it on. I've been showing pictures the entire time. That Vatican means divining serpent. The word Vatican literally means divining serpent and is derived from vatis equals diviner and canned serpent. Vatican City and St. Peter's Basilica were built on an ancient pagan site called in Latin the Vaticanus, Mons or Vaticanuscolis, which means hill or mountain of prophecy. This is a real thing. I just wanted everyone to know that the word Vatican literally means divining serpent.
Stop to Go. You want to give a word in on that? I know you do.
I was going to say that is 100% accurate.
You're very low, Stop to Go, if you want to build up.
Oh, sorry about that. I said that is 100% accurate.
Yes, and now I'm showing everyone the pictures of the Vatican on the inside, and it looks exactly like a serpent.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you have anything else you had to say on the creation of the Vatican, or did you want to?
Yeah, I was just going to give a brief description. I wanted to do more, but due to time, I didn't know if I was able to or not.
No,
but,
keep going, man. You are absolutely.
Yeah, you're killing it. Please continue.
All right. The actual creation of the Vatican started with St. Peter's Basilica, and it just kind of built up from there throughout the centuries. Now, the relationship between the Italian government and the Holy See was extremely tense. And it was in 1870, the Italian authorities attacked the Papal States. Now, the Catholic Church was not allowed to take place in peace treaties after World War I. And this is what leads us into the Lateran Treaty. Sorry. All right, Pope Pius XI sent his representatives to sign this treaty on February 11th, 1929. So basically, they go through 40 years of tension, nothing's resolved, and then finally, the Holy See acquired its rights in Rome. The treaty helps the church from being persecuted from the Nazis, and this is important, remember that, everything is connected, during World War II. In 1929, the Italian Prime Minister Benito Mussolini used the Lateran Treaty to acknowledge the Vatican as its own independent country within a country, thus having its own government, its own currency, police force, army, and laws, without any accountability from any other government. And being the head of the church, having the influence over the religion around the world, this is what became birth to what we know now as the Vatican. Giving it a long story short. Keep in mind, this is going to be a two-part. I'm going to hit into this a little bit more on next episode. Mm-hmm. But all of this is funded. And the biggest and most important part about the Vatican, other than the satanic, creepy-ass stuff, is the Vatican Bank. And that's where I want to hand it off to Stop to Go.
Vatican Bank?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, my friend.
How's my microphone now? Is that better?
You're okay. It's a little poppy, but it doesn't matter. I can still hear you fine.
All right. Beautiful. All right. So the Vatican Bank is the one thing that changed that absolutely was everything, destroyed every last principle of what they claimed to stand for as they created itself, as Pun perfectly laid out. The bricks weren't so innocent as we all just found out. But so the Vatican Bank, after, you have to realize too, just before I start, for 1800 years, these popes were unchallenged monarchs of a worldly empire, and they were pretty much rulers of a religion, which isn't really, it's borderless for the most part. You can have Christians in any country. And so they were kings of this secular empire over monies and armies and vast lands, maritime jurisdiction over pretty much the planet through this, unchecked religious right. And so, after 1796, the Vatican had been in much debt. They had to take loans from people they didn't want to, and in fact, some of those loans were, from the people we outlined.
Thomas,
yes,
I'm getting some DMs that he's really choppy.
I'm seeing it in there. It says.
See if I can fix that real quick. Hold on.
Okay. Not a problem.
There is a little wind out here. That's why I'll see if I can fix that real fast. Hold on.
You're sounding like a bowl of Rice Krispies, dude.
I'm glad you checked that in the beginning rather than later. Is that better?
It's still. Just give me a check real quick.
Mic check. Is this a little better?
That's a little better.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. All right, here we go. All right, so yeah, they were these unchecked rulers. They started to get into debt by a few different means.
You're back. You're choppy.
I'm back to choppy. Jeez. All right. Is this a little bit better or no?
Yes.
For now.
Okay, so 1832, post-Napoleonic War, Pope Gregory the 16th took $400K in a loan that was our equivalent of about $38 million. And 18 years later, Pope Pius IX took a debt that nearly doubled that, and that train just kept rolling until they were so far in debt that they were pretty much in the hands of a few men, so to speak.
Stop to go. You're kind of getting worse.
Oh no!
I'm sorry, dude. I'm just saying.
Fix this. Oh no! I'd rather you catch it. We've got 3 hours at least.
Yeah, I don't want you to go the whole 3 hours sounding like Rice Krispies.
So what I'm looking at right now is that I love how it says the scandal at God's Bank. God's Bank. Speaking of the Vatican's bank, God's Bank. It's just like the entitlement, the control, the power is just right in front of our faces, and it's quite sickening. I think everyone in the chat would agree with that this is, in quote, God's bank. We all know about how we could think of the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds. They have these offshore banking accounts or banking systems, and they've just enslaved every single one of us. I guarantee you this is the exact same thing, fellas.
Oh yeah. Is my mic a little bit better now? I moved.
Well, I think we're just going to have to go with it. People are saying everything sounds fine. If he's a little poppy, then just let him be poppy.
Yeah, that's fine. All right. So yeah, I laid out the two loans that they had taken in the early, 19th century. But, going back a little bit, to finance the Papal King's Court, they levied taxes, and that was right after 1796. And after 1796, they received income from, organized donations. Even like Pun was perfectly laying out, they offered paper penance for absolved sins in return for donations. And they would call them indulgences. And this is where things started to change. So in 1929, the earliest part of the 20th century, Mussolini in Italy recognized Vatican City as its own country. That was the beginning of Vatican City becoming a city-state, one of 3 in the world that rule the world. So he gave them today's $1 billion to compensate them for the loss of the papal states, quote unquote. And right mid-World War II, this is where the bank was created. In mid-World War II, the Vatican hired a guy named Bernardino Nogara, and he created a bank essentially to offshore all their incomes in this new city-state. So they did this because they received basically an all-powerful jurisdiction. Like no country and their laws, any member of the Vatican was held liable to, and that includes, child laws. So they don't believe that they have to follow any law of any state. So going back to the bank, they did this to hide what they were up to, because they did have U.S. allies. Obviously, they had British allies, obviously, but they were also extraordinarily, vetted into business with the Germans, and so they at the time were helping the Germans launder tons of their money, so that the allies couldn't find it, and they also were double dipping because they were receiving money from both both the allied countries, and they were receiving profits from taxes that were levied by Hitler, income taxes that were levied just for the Vatican. So the Vatican was receiving taxable income from Germany. And that's, you have to, this is kind of crazy that they were able to tax citizens' incomes. So, in 1942, they had organized the entire shareholder system of the Vatican. So basically, they organized it down to one shareholder, and that was the Pope. And the bishop that had organized that was a guy named Bishop Marcinkus. But he was involved in a lot of major banking, like with major Italian bankers like Roberto Calvi, in offshore deals and back-to-back loans. In fact, one of the guys who has a great book on this, his name's Gerald Posner, Posner. He's got a book called God's Bankers. I mean, his research is phenomenal. So going back to the bank, there was zero transparency when they created this bank. And so they were basically hiding these monies for bad people. Even in 1933, which was a few years prior, almost a decade prior, they signed a deal with the Vatican acknowledging Nazi legitimacy. And that treaty was signed like a loyalty oath with all the bishops and priests that were loyal to the Nazi party. And the Vatican collected that payroll tax on German citizens directly. Like Hitler collected that payroll directly and locked it in profits for the Vatican. And
stop to go. I was going to say, when you pull a little bit further away from the phone, it sounds better.
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay. So, this is better?
Right there is absolutely perfect.
Perfect. All right, there we go. All right. So, in helping with the collaborate with the Nazis after World War II, and they helped collaborate with like the Red Cross, and they helped not just, a lot of Germans who were trying to get out of that area, escaped through the Red Cross, and some bad people were able to take advantage of that overloaded, system and get out to South America. But the Vatican did a specific detail. They specifically helped them change aliases of people they knew weren't living anymore, and they gave people those aliases and got them to South America. And those people were not supposed to be. Those people were supposed to be considered war criminals. And so they knowingly were doing these things. In fact, it was very well known that during the end of the Nazi Party, even in the beginning of all the Nazi atrocities that they were doing, the bishops knew before any military. The bishops knew before any other country knew what atrocities had happened, because they had people on the ground in the local churches in every country, like Ukraine and Hungary and Poland. They had everybody covered. So they were hearing things well before everyone else, and they not only financed it, they hid it, they enabled it, and they directly or indirectly paid for it. So with the banking. So going back a little bit too, in Bishop Marcinkus too. In the 60s, they had such petulant money spending like never before. Like so many shady deals. You had like the mob and the CIA and all kinds of stuff that was happening where people were really starting to get mad. And Bishop Marcinkus, who got involved with all these deals with Roberto Calvi, like I was saying before, the offshore deals and these back-to-back loans.
Hey, stop to go. I'm getting messages left and right that you're getting even worse. That they're saying they can't hear you.
Man.
It's okay.
Can you get like near a window or something? I don't know.
That's where I'm at right now. I'm going to another window. Is this better at all?
I got like 3 text messages in like 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah, my phone was buzzing a little bit too. I just didn't have a chance to look at it midstream. Is this better at all?
Not.
It's still poppy, but I'm understand. People are saying they can hear you, but others are saying that they can't. Oh, most of the people here are saying they hear him just fine. Just continue. Just don't. Yeah, just continue to talk. You're fine.
Beautiful.
Okay.
All right. Sorry about that. I apologize for my microphone. I have no. It's probably
People say we can hear you, but just slow down a little bit. That's all.
Perfect. I can do that. So they got themselves involved with such shady deals that he got into trouble, and they were about to financially collapse. It was about to be a huge bankruptcy for the new bank that had only been around for about 20 years, not even. And he actually claimed that no nation had any sovereign right to question his operations, and stepped down after a while, receiving no prison time for stealing Lord knows how much money for whatever they were doing, because no one could count it. In 2013, the bank was exposed by journalists, and Pope Francis basically buried it. No one, I don't hear anyone else talking about it. Although the Vatican Bank was recently raided, and that gave me hope. But so they all knew what was happening with Hitler, and they absolutely allowed it to happen. And not only that, that's exactly what gave way to things like Paperclip and Gladio and Red Cross playing all these roles. And if you don't know what Operation Gladio is, there was a huge operation that was put into motion with the Axis, that basically they had sleeper cells that they would have living in all these different areas, who, just in case there was a Soviet rule or any other country decided to take over the planet, that they would have this network of secret people who would be able to take the country back. And so like any good thing that starts with non-nefarious purposes, it quickly was taken over by, I'm sure, bad people. And not just to mention that, a lot of nations were doing that, including the Vatican, where they were sending their own people like age sleeper cells who would be there to do the church's bidding at any given cost. So, going back, or moving a little bit forward, I wanted to kind of pass it back to pun on the Nazi influences in the Vatican too, just because that is such a huge piece to understanding what we are in today, and we'll bring it back to and try to put together what changed as well. So but you can't do that without explaining the influences. So pun, go for it.
Correct. I'll tell you what, while I'm doing this, try to work on that mic a little bit more.
Yes, that would be good.
I'm gonna close it and try and bring it back up again.
Perfect.
Hey, maybe wipe the mic on your phone or whatever you're using. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever I can. I'm gonna try it.
All right, but going back to the Vatican Nazi connection, I know we kind of left off episode 3 with the Nazi invasion, and I'm gonna tie that to the Vatican. Like I said, everything's connected. Now, the Catholic Church, they done all these massacres all throughout the Dark Ages. Now, this continued all the way until the Holocaust, which killed over 6 million Jews. And that was from 1933 to 1945. Millions of men, women, and children were slaughtered in over 15 European countries during the Holocaust. All the property of the Jews was confiscated by the Nazis. Now, this is actually including George Schwartz, or AKA George Soros, who is a Rothschild. The women were dragged in public naked, starved, suffered from disease, and or executed. The Jews who did survive suffered in the gas chambers that was built by the Nazis. Now, Hitler massacred over 6 million Jews under the belief of ethnic cleansing. That was the excuse he gave. And the Catholic Church publicly supported Hitler's decision of slaughtering the Jews, claiming anti-Semitism. Now, this is coming from the Vatican. As you see today, history is repeating itself. The whole anti-Semitism. How many times have we been hearing that, Thomas, lately?
Oh, my goodness, day in and day out.
Okay, history repeats itself. But I'll continue. Wise Mendel, he was a Jewish rabbi, and he sent a letter to the Vatican to ask for help, and he begged the Pope to save the Jews, especially the children. But the papacy replied saying there is no, and this is the actual response from the papacy in the Vatican, no Jew, or they said no Jew is innocent and all must die. This came from the papacy. And that was Pope Pius XII. The Catholic Church hated the Jews for the involvement of Jesus Christ. Obviously, we all know that. The Catholic Church believed that they were punishing the Jews on behalf of God. That's what they truly believed. Now, Hitler, he was actually Catholic. I don't know how many people knew that. He believed that he was Catholic. He grew very fond of the ideology and fully supported the Catholic Church. Hitler was able to commit the Holocaust because he was backed by the Vatican Bank. He was funded by them.
Ah, okay.
Yes. Before the Holocaust, the Vatican cardinals had a mass blessing the Nazis and their duty to succeed. The Vatican gave the Nazi soldiers blessing during Mass.
And as you were saying this, I was showing simultaneously, you can see the Pope at the time doing the Sig Heil and, so on and so forth, and being quite friendly with the Third Reich.
Oh, very friendly.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It gets worse. Unfortunately. The Catholic Church publicly promoted Hitler's genocide of the Jews. They promoted it. They were completely okay with it. It was Archbishop Stepanek, and he quoted this, and this was an archbishop in the Vatican. God has given us Adolf Hitler. That was quoted from the Archbishop Stepanek. So, oh God, it gets worse. For 1,600 years, the Catholic Church has committed more crimes against humanity under the name of religion than any other organization in history of man. Think about that.
So people are saying that, did you just say that Hitler was Catholic?
Yes, he was.
So a lot of people are saying that they thought he was pagan.
And that's when I said that the Roman Catholic Church, they were influenced by paganism and Roman polytheism.
Correct.
See where it all kind of blends together?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, maybe not the end of this episode, but maybe the end of next episode. I don't know.
No, you're killing it. You kill it. I just have, when I see stuff like that, I want to reiterate it back to you, and then you fix it, and that's what you did. So there you go.
Now, Hitler truly believed he was a Catholic. He did.
Okay.
And he believed that murdering Jews was in the name of God.
Okay.
So I know that's confusing to some people. They're like, Hitler wasn't religious. Do your history and you'll find out. All right. The Catholic Church killed over 50 million Christians and 6 million Jews during all this. And both the Pope and Hitler, now pay close attention to what I'm about to say.
Okay.
Both the Pope and Hitler, they both agreed that they wanted to create a new unity of religions by having a one world religion. Does that sound familiar?
Sounds a bit familiar. Sounds like the New World Order.
Exactly. And it gets worse. And they wanted to slowly drive out all other religions that goes anything against the Catholic Church. A one world religion that fits a new one world government.
Okay.
Only those who were not in acknowledgement of history truly didn't know what they were worshiping. Now, keep in mind, religion is just like the Freemasons. If you're the standard average Joe and you walk into church or you walk into the Vatican, you may think when you worship this idolatry symbol that you're doing God's work or God's will, so on and so forth. It's the same thing with Freemasons. They think they're fighting for the right cause. They have no idea the depth behind the deceit of what the I guess you could say the puppet masters of the puppet masters set this up to be, and I'm going to get to that.
Hmm.
All right, now when viewed from scripture and historical facts, the Vatican is actually the church of the Antichrist by destroying the true word of God, accepting paganism into the church, and hiding books of the Bible that will show the real history of Christianity. Now, I know we've covered some of that before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you're really a Christian church, would you really hide the true word of God? You wouldn't.
No.
Because if you believe in it, it would be in the Bible, correct?
Oh, yeah, it would flow through you.
Yes, exactly. Now, till this day, the Catholic Church is still committing sins to countless souls through false teaching and information.
I love that. Is a great sentence. They're currently doing permitting countless sins through false teachings.
Yes, and they're doing the exact same thing. And like I said, Thomas, this is all set up just like Paperclip, just like Mockingbird, just like our indoctrinated education systems.
Mm-hmm.
It's all to teach you what they want you to know or believe.
Correct.
This has been set up since the death of Jesus Christ.
Sure.
All right. 2 Corinthians. For such men are false prophets, deceitful workmen, masquerading as apostles of Christ, and no wonder, for Satan himself masquerading as an angel of light. It is not surprising then if his servants masquerading as the servants of righteousness, their end will be what their actions deserve. Does everyone understand that?
Powerful.
Very powerful. Continue.
And it's going to get much more worse. I'm going to say that a lot because it will. The Catholic Church, obviously, they've killed more than any other organization in history under the name of Christ. But yet, the Pope is declared as an apostle of peace.
Complete blasphemy.
Yes. Blasphemy is 100% correct. Revelations 18:2. Fallen is Babylon the Great. She has become a home for demons and have a haunt for every evil spirit.
What is this person? Say this. Who is this again? One more time.
Revelations 18:2. I don't know which translation this is. It may not be King James.
Mm-hmm.
But where was that? All right. Fallen is Babylon the Great. She, now keep in mind, in the Bible, the church is referred to as she. This is very important.
Mm-hmm.
She has become a home for demons and a haunt for every evil spirit.
Mm-hmm.
A haunt for every unclean and detestable bird. Revelations 18:7. Give her as much torture and grief as the glory she gave herself. She'll be consumed by fire, for mighty is the Lord who judges her.
Wow.
Everyone, please remember what I just said, because I'm about to blow your mind. In the Bible, women refers to the church, yet the church that that dresses in purple and scarlet, holding a golden cup, holding up to the words, she held a golden cup. I'm going to get back to that. The Vatican is the only church that satisfies all of these points to actually be acknowledged in the Bible as Babylon. Revelation 17:4-5. The woman was dressed in purple and scarlet, and glittering with gold, stones, and pearls. She held a golden cup in her hand, filled with the abominable things and the filth of her adulteries. This title was written on her forehead. Mysteries of Babylon the Great, the mother of prostitution and the abominations of the earth.
Good Lord.
The Bible predicted that the Vatican is Babylon.
Wow.
Am I losing anybody yet?
No, I think everyone is talking right now. I think everyone is just kind of taking it. They're saying it's much more worse. I know Doris Dawn said, if you are unknowingly in a church where you don't know what's really going on and they're preaching this stuff, are you the one that could be, condemned by God? I don't believe, personally, I do not believe in a vengeful God. That is my interpretation. If we each have our own. So I'm just letting you know. Yes. But you're blowing people's minds at this point.
Well, let me say it like this, Thomas. And I did a Zoom or a show with Victoria the other night.
Mm-hmm.
And going to church and reading the Bible requires two things. Discernment every time you do. Because if you don't and you blindly believe anyone in the church, anything anyone in the church tells you, you're no different than every other sheep out there that ain't awake.
Sure.
And I just wanted to make that important. The reason I wanted to come to this little stopping point, I just want to make sure if I lost anybody, let me know.
I don't think so. I think everyone is pretty much blown away. I think they're totally spot on. We're seeing the church has become business only, in my honest opinion. These boys are laying out content, so you're doing fine. You're doing fine. Not losing anybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right,
well done, my friend.
I need some water after all that.
Yeah, you do. That was a.
Microphone better now.
It still pops.
Is it popping? Damn it. How about now? Is it popping now?
Yes, it still chops.
Damn.
Stop to go. Just go stand on top of a mountain, okay?
I'm going for it right now.
Just go stand on top of the Vatican.
All right. Now, continuing.
Okay.
Only the Catholic Church used these exact themes, such as priests wearing purple or scarlet, precious pearls and stones all throughout the Vatican, and holding the golden cup, giving truth to the prophecy that the Bible said that the Vatican is Babylon. The Bible identifies the Vatican in detail as Babylon the Great. The Catholic Church makes the commoner believe that they are worshiping Jesus, yet little do they know they are actually worshiping the sun god.
Wow.
I know, it gets very deep, and a lot of people may get lost at this. That's why it's going to be like a 2-episode thing. So
it's okay. Sure. People are loving it. Let's go.
The Catholic Church cleverly indoctrinated the ideology or idolatry of paganism into its worship since ancient Babylon through the worship of the sun god. The Bible also, Protestant churches who keep the Sunday service and Christmas originated as Babylon 2. How many people are familiar with Babylon 2? I know you've heard of it.
I have never heard of Babylon 2, my friend. But I'm showing everyone now the sun god and everything like that. That is within the Vatican. As you can see here, you can see as right there, you can see the Pope carrying this sun. You can see it right here. So continue on. It's making a lot of sense to some people.
Okay, I didn't see it on your screen.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't. I just have it on my... You want me to share it with you, Pun?
I mean, if you want to. I just want to get the at least some symbolism throughout the Vatican of the sun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm doing. All right, let me share.
A lot of people have been indoctrinated to think that they're worshiping Christ, but they're
There you
not.
go. Now you can see?
I can see your screen, yes.
Okay, there you go. Go for it.
There you go.
Uh-huh.
All right. That is the symbol of the sun god Mithras,
Okay.
which is actually one of probably about 600 names of many other people we've mentioned in the past, but I'll get into that in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, in the Bible, women refers to the church. So a prostitute means a false church of lawlessness. All right. The Bible depicts as Babylon as the great, or the Bible depicts Babylon the Great as the Catholic Church, which is expressed as the mother of all prostitutes. which is the Roman Catholic Church, known as the Vatican.
I want to read this real fast. It says, and this is just to just to say this again. It's from what I'm showing you on your screen, and it says, and upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abomination of the earth. Revelation 17:5. The popes are the high priests of Baal. We know about Baal and Moloch, so on and so forth. The Babylonian sun deity. They surround themselves with the sun worship symbols. Interesting. Yes. Sickening.
All right, I think
it's all kind of starting to make sense.
Yes. Go ahead, stop to go give me a test.
Yes. How am I doing now? Is that better?
100%. You're clear. You're clear.
Oh, thank
God. You sound like stop to go again.
There you go.
For the love of all that is holy. Thank you. All right. Did you guys want me to jump on anything now that my microphone is back?
I'm not even kidding you. It just started popping again.
Yeah, it did.
Oh,
I think we're talking about the Vatican. That's what's doing it.
I don't know what it is, but it's yes, okay.
Exactly. It wouldn't be the weirdest thing that's happened to me in the last few days. Let me tell you that.
Well, I told you it was a dark subject.
This is true. True. Just go. You guys just go. It's fine. Okay. You know, if it gets bad, then I'll say something. Okay.
I'm going to give a little bit more, then I'll hand it off to him. Hopefully he'll be better.
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. Now the Pope is the very person who leads the sun worship. He's the one that commands it. The tiara of the Pope, and actually I want you to pull this up.
Okay, hold on. What do you want me to type in?
The tiara of the Pope. It's a weird looking
Papal tiara.
Yeah, that might be it.
Yes, it's the crown that was worn by the popes of the Catholic Church in the 8th century. There we go.
Yeah, it should be
Do you see that?
Not yet.
It should pop up.
There you go. There it is.
All okay.
Right. Now, the tiara of the Pope is located in many places throughout the Vatican.
Okay.
The triple papal tiara is the crown of the Pope. That's what you're looking at right now on the screen.
Okay.
Its meaning is that the Pope reigns over heaven, earth, and hell, which is also described in the official title of the Pope. It's called Vicarius Filii Dei. I don't know if you want to look that up. It's really hard to say.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it might actually be in there.
Yeah, I'm just kind of scrolling.
It's like Vicarius Filii Dei, D-E-I.
I'm not seeing it right now, but I'm just showing pictures of. You can see the Pope's face and whatnot. So I'm just going to show.
You see how it has the 3 layers on it?
Absolutely, yes. I'm going to stop right there.
Yes, that actually stands for heaven, earth, and hell.
Okay.
So that is a symbolism of saying that the Pope is above God.
Oh my. No one is above God. Again, blasphemy, a false idol, my friend.
But the Pope doesn't think that. Now keep in mind, the Pope has religious influence over every church in the world. So think about where this is going.
Mm-hmm.
It's not pretty. All right. Now, Vicarius Filii Dei, which is translated the Vicar of the Son of God.
Okay.
The Pope thinks he is God.
Wow.
I'm telling you, dude, it gets bad.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This title says that the Pope is God himself. Now, here's the thing. That term, in case you find it, Vicarius Filii Dei, in Gematria, do you know how long Gematria goes back?
I do not know. How long does it go back?
To the Roman era.
Ah, there you go.
Now, Vicarius Filii Dei, in Gematria, the numerical values of Vicarius Filii Dei is 666.
Wow. Good Lord, man. But you know, there's symbolism. They make it that way because they believe in it. They worship that. So and again, 17 has told us there's no coincidences. Their symbolism will be their downfall. This is what they worship.
It's called word sorcery. Now,
correct. I like that term.
A lot of their beliefs is they have to give you it's like what I call vampirism. They have to invite you in using certain words so that you accept it. You can't just storm a country and say, okay, we're taking over. Now, there's certain examples in the past that's like, Planned Parenthood, Patriot Act. They sound great, but they have absolutely nothing to do with the name of their title. And that's exactly the same thing with religion, Freemasonry, and a lot of other things, is they say it in a way that where you accept it, and if you don't accept it, they cannot force that ideology on you. That's why it's called sorcery.
Correct.
Yeah. And the 666 and the beast refer to the Pope or the papacy that stands against God. All right. Now, even though the Pope is a man, the Catholic Church itself actually insists that he can modify God's law as he pleases and is worshipped as a god amongst men. And if you look, you can see that the Pope is worshipped by men.
Correct.
Because they think...
we kiss their feet.
Yes. Now, everyone that does that, you're worshiping a false idol of Mithras, which is also directed to Nimrod, Horus, the sun god, Lucifer, and Baal.
I want to say something real quick, Pun. I want to say, remember when all this was taking place with Black Lives Matter? You would have white people, kissing the feet of the Black Lives Matter people, and the president said, yes, you never kneel to anyone, never bow to anyone but God. And now we are seeing that we're kissing the feet of Black Lives Matter. We are kissing the feet of the Pope. Do not bow to anyone but God. And that really it just kind of rings clear with me as you bring that up right now.
I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't even have it in my notes, to be honest, but you're 100% right.
Yep.
And do you think all this was set up by accident?
Hell no.
There's no way in hell.
No.
Sorry.
Exactly.
Last little bit I got, though, is the obelisk in St. Peter's Square is the symbolism of sun worship. Now, we see the obelisk in the three independent so-called nations within countries. That's the Vatican, Washington, D.C., and London. I mean, not London.
Are you looking at your screen right now, Pun? Is this what I should be showing?
Yes. That is the symbol of Mithras, the sun god.
Okay.
Now, the Vatican tells you, and I'm going to get a little bit more into that to kind of clarify that.
Okay.
But I want Stop to Go to tell us a little bit about the obelisk and the symbolism behind that.
Oh, yeah. Am I a little bit better now?
Just go with it. Stop to Go. You can go. Beautiful. It's okay.
I'm going with it. I'm stopping for nothing. All right. So basically it all goes back to the ancient Canaanite religions, which was kind of almost the first city states. Canaan was, it comprised the regions of Israel, Palestine, Lebanon, Jordan, and I believe Syria. And that's where all of even the Greek and Roman and Egyptian gods, believe it or not, like those were all Canaanite gods that they all address with a Canaanite god. In fact, like in Greek, you have the Adonis, right? Well, in the Canaanite, religion, Adonis was the god of youth, beauty, and desire, and where you find similarities in today and even in the United States, right? You see the same obelisk in Vatican City, you see in Washington D.C. And what's the significance of where it's situated is pretty almost disgusting when you look at the true symbology. It might actually blow some people's minds, and that is the reason why they chose the exact territory to make the District of Columbia when they decided to build those obelisks and stuff. not necessarily the monuments, more so the obelisk. The reason why they put it right in between the two states that they did is because those states were Virginia and Maryland. So they put a giant phallic, it's meant to worship a penis. That's what a phallic worship is. And they put a penis, a giant mega stone penis, right in between Virgin and Maryland. So,
wow.
I mean, they were very much knowing exactly what they were doing. And that's just like one tiny little snippet of the types of programming that they'll do subconsciously without you even knowing. And when you see...
Well, it pleases their God.
Yes, exactly. They have many gods, and they had Abigail, the god of the moon, or sorry, Aglibal, the god of the moon, Anat, the virgin goddess of war and strife, and Arse, the god of the underworld, and Arsu, the god of the evening star. And one of them that is you'll find in Sonoma, California, on the Russian River, right just north of San Francisco Bay Area. You'll find one, a little campsite where all the world's elite gather and decide things behind closed doors. It's called Bohemian Grove. And you'll find that if you can research anything you want on it, you'll find that they have a 40-foot statue of Molech, which is a giant owl statue of the god, the Canaanite god Molech, which was specifically the Canaanite god of child sacrifice. And there is an altar at the foot of that statue for where they all gather every year during one of their solstices, and they do what's called the cremation of care ceremony, where they burn care.
They burn what?
To you. Care, C-A-R-E.
They burn care. Tell what do you mean by that?
They just try to like for instance, when you think of the word care, what thoughts come to your mind? Like a mother's care.
Yeah, a mother's care, love, yes,
caring, love, yeah,
comfort. They burn that.
A 40-foot statue named Molech.
Yeah, we're looking at it live on the show. Wow.
So now that was, obviously the powerful levels, but did they infiltrate the lower levels, like the ground levels of churches? And did they even infiltrate the narratives that were being taught from the ground floor of the churches? And to be honest, the easiest way for them to do that was exactly how they did. They organized the teachings through the church all through the diocese. So the diocese got their teachings from the archdiocese, who basically gave them their publications and told them what songs they were going to be singing and what lessons they were going to be teaching. And that was the first forms of control. And if, Pun laid out, God, it was brilliant in the whole beginning, where he laid out what, where it was founded and what true Christians were. And it was a practice. Even Jesus himself said, if you can't be born of Abraham, you have to live like Abraham. Meaning, just same as Judaism. It's not as much a birthright as it is a practice. Same as Christianity. You can't claim to be born a Christian as much as you are. You act as a Christian. You are a Christian. You don't stop being a Christian just because you were born one. So, and in the Bible, I found when I was, finally finding my way to the Bible, I had my own questions as to the timing of why Jesus chose to come to the planet when he did. And basically what happens is, hold on, let me mute this real fast.
I'm just going to say something. There are so many pictures of Bohemian Grove that I have never seen before. I always see the one, maybe the one or two, but this really does exist, people. We can look at this and say, this is a fairy tale. This isn't anything. But in no way, this is absolutely real. They worship this stuff because they get something in return. They don't just do it to do it. That would be like if you say, I'm going to worship something and get nothing in return. I'm wasting my complete time. They truly believe in this. They truly do get stuff in return. And all of this is very, very real, which is extremely discerning.
Bohemian Grove was started in 1872 as an elite invitation-only social club, and it was notable members were Clint Eastwood, Henry Kissinger, Walter Cronkite, Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, George Bush, Bill Clinton, Charles Schwab, Ambrose Bierce, Bret Hart, Mark Twain, Jack London.
Did you just say Bret Hart?
Not the wrestler.
Okay.
With an E at the
I'm looking at this right now. Bohemian Grove, 2 future presidents, Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan, sat at the table at the camp.
Yes. Now check this out. The word Molech actually comes from Phoenician, Arabic, and Hebrew translation of the word Malik, and that is the Semitic term for king. So they are worshiping their king, the god of child sacrifice. Now, going back to, like I said, these are the most powerful people in the world, and they are worshiping these deities. And if they're doing it at the highest levels, what are they having us do at the lower levels? And I'll tell you, there's a few different testimonies from former satanic priests who came out and who actually practiced at Bohemian Grove, and they gave testimonials of how they were courted and what their lives were like leading into it and after and everything. And he gave very unique perspectives. You can find them all over YouTube. I highly suggest typing that in and finding as many as you can. One of the guys spoke specifically and said, you can't even be a satanic priest unless you've been a Catholic priest for 15 years. So think about that.
I'm looking. I
30 or 40 years, all dressed in red.
I pulled up this picture. Can you guys see your phones real quick? Look at this. Yes. This is under Bohemian Grove. Wow. Yep.
Now, can I say one thing? Stop to go. I know you're not done with this subject yet, but can you tell people a little bit about the privacy, like security, and the area of Bohemian Grove itself, like the limited access to it, to give people a little bit understanding that this is not something you could just walk into.
Correct.
Listen, so it's like you and I think of campsite as like the KOA, right? Some like little drive-in campsite, or maybe like some state park that's got a little campsite, right?
Yes.
This campsite is protected by its own police force, sometimes even local police forces. It is a no-fly zone. Tell me, how
it's a no-fly zone, ladies and gentlemen.
No-fly zones. This is a private group of citizens, elite invitation-only social club. It's a social club.
Oh, this is a great question. This is a great question from @BobCush in the chat. Who owns this land?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, I'll tell you what. It sits right on what's called the Russian River. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I doubt it. That had more to do with the earliest settlers in California that came down from Alaska that settled on the river for the gold rush era. But for the most part, that is a huge thing. That's a great question. First of all,
I'm looking it up right now. Bohemian Grove is a restricted 2,700 acre campground. 20601 Bohemian Avenue. If you guys want to go there, go for it.
Yeah, there's more security. There's more security down under it than there is above it. And there's a lot above it.
Oh yes, I was going to mention that. Stop to go. Tell us what's under, or what you know of what's under. Because a lot of people think it's just a. Yeah, a lot of people think it's just a park.
Well, I'll tell you a story that I heard.
And of course, it's in California.
Yes, I'll tell you a story that I heard firsthand, and it will kind of make people laugh and also weird them out in a weird way too, because it's not just the big powerful people too. They try to have entertainers and celebrities and everything all mix and mingle and make decisions and get them all working on their team. And one night I was told that Kid Rock was there, and he was real drunk and made a racial slur to another musician who didn't take it very kindly and punched him in the face and knocked him out. And the security had come through the floor of where they were at and removed Kid Rock, and he was not ever allowed back. And
whoa.
So I mean, that's just to let you know, like it's not all bells and whistles there, but it is a weird gathering of people.
Well, I've heard that same story too, to give a little bit of context.
There you go. People are saying where at in California? Monte Rio is where it's located.
Yes.
Well, no, it's Sonoma County, and it's about 20-30 miles north of, maybe a little bit more, 30-40 miles north of San Francisco, in between Sonoma and like Santa Rosa.
There you go. It hosts a more than 2-week encampment of some of the most prominent men in the world. The Bohemian Club's all-male membership, all male, I'm sure there's no funny business going on, includes artists and musicians, as well as many prominent business leaders, government officials, former U.S. presidents, senior media executives, and powerful people. Again, this is on Wikipedia and it can be changed a lot, but I'm just letting you know, members may invite guests to the Grove.
I heard an interesting story that said, there was like this rule that no women are allowed to go when they're doing their big thing. It's an all male retreat. And there was a story that I heard that Hillary Clinton tried to come in one time and it didn't go well.
But her ankles wouldn't fit through the door. I get that. So yeah, that is a
couldn't squeeze those ankles past security.
Good Lord, she needs those. I got nothing. But it's a very interesting thing that we've gone all the way from the Vatican all the way to this, and you guys are tying it together incredibly. Where can go? Yeah, continue. Stop to go.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to take it back a little bit to show you what changed in the teachings, like that we all know, that we all learned, like basically we all learned the same things in church for the most part, throughout the curriculum, the general curriculum of the church. And that is evidenced in, it doesn't matter what church you went to, you all learned that Jesus died for your sins, right? That's like one of the most predominant teachings that was out of the Vatican. That came from the Vatican. So that is ultimately, it's the truth, it's a lie, and it's also both at the same time. And there's three ways of looking at this. If you want to look at it really, really realistically, there was a vote put up to the people by the Roman emperors, who said, Pontius Pilate, who basically said, you have the choice between putting Jesus to death for heresy and doing ritual magic, is what they said he did, and then Barabbas, the murderer. And the people chose Jesus to die. So, and Jesus actually said to the people right before the stoning began, he said, let he who's without sin cast the first stone. And they still stoned him to death. And those people, we all know, were certainly not without sin. So it was a poignant moment. And when you start looking at why did Jesus die, and how did it involve sin? It goes back to indulgences, these last indulgences that the church was selling. The Vatican had been in trouble for searching one. They were selling these things one time before in history. It just happened to be when the Son of God showed up. So Jesus, if you remember, he's the ultimate pacifist. He never once in the Bible ever acted out of anger. In fact, he was the teacher of turn the other cheek. But there was one story right before the Last Supper where, in John 2:15, where he very much acted out of anger. And I always wondered why is that? Why is that one part of allowed? Why was his anger allowed in that moment? And as an adult, I got to learn about the money systems and what he was trying to, what point he was trying to make. And you have to kind of to put it into context and kind of give Jesus, a little bit of leeway and credit there on this, not that he was just acting out of anger. If you have to remember, John 2:15 is directly after John 2:13, where it said that he went to Jerusalem for Passover, and then right before that basically was John 2:12, where it said that he had just went to a wedding, and that was the wedding where he turned water into wine. So, it's possible he had a hangover, it's possible he was just going through a lot, but he went to Jerusalem for Passover. And that's when he came upon the temples that they had closed, just like modern day today, where all the temples are closed, all the churches are closed. And he was very angry about this. And he saw these lines of people lined up outside of the church. And what had happened was, in the time that he had left, the church had been basically, they had created for the first time, his name was Hero of Alexandria, the guy that created it, in 215 BC. He invented the holy water vending machine. And by the time Jesus had come to earth and done his, and grown into a man, that vending machine had spread far and wide from Egypt all the way through the Middle East. And that was basically being implemented in many different ways. But one of the ways was they put a hole in the wall of the temple and they closed the doors. And that hole, you'd put a coin in that hole, and the coin would go down and it hit a little wooden lever, and that wooden lever would let out a little bit of holy water. And those people were basically buying their future week's sins. They were paying for indulgences. So Jesus was so mad when people were explaining to him, hey, no, it's this new thing. We just put the coin in the hole and we're cool for next week and we can go sin. He was so mad about this. That's what drove him to and the story is that, he made a scourge and drove these men out these money changers out of the temples. Well, I'm going to put some context to you. A scourge is not just a whip. A scourge is a whip made of a lot of smaller whips. That is like a bullwhip. And even in the actual translation, the English Standard Version of John 2:15, it said he made out a whip of cords and drove them all from the temple courts, both sheep and oxen. I want you to know, oxen are not that easy to drive around. So that was a oxen whip. And when you put an oxen whip to a man, it does tremendously violent things. So he knew what he was doing. And he turned that whip on these men when he kicked the door open, he found them counting these coins and laughing about how stupid people were to think that they could pay for future week sins. He found this and he was so furious. He lit into them with a whip. And mind you, the men behind the tables flipped the tables, because if you had a guy coming at you with a bullwhip, you would do the same thing too. And they knew he meant business. And he knew what stand he was taking. And he went and had the Last Supper after that. He gathered his disciples and he told them to prepare the meal. And they even said, with what facilities. And he even told them, go and find a man carrying a bucket near this town and he'll provide you all the facilities necessary. And they went and they found the man just like he said. And so he knew what moment he was about to walk into, and he knew exactly where he was going after. He decided to gather his disciples and tell them four very important things that should be the tenets of Christianity and what they teach every single child. One, he said, do not idolize me, which should translate to a lot less of what we have, not in the sense that, you just devoutly and blindly, love, or not love, but devoutly and without any type of critical thought. Like he wanted people to not just blindly worship. Okay. He only wanted people to worship the Father, which he never said the word God. Jesus only said Yahweh, which meant the Father. And that was very, very important to him. And so then he said, do not worship false idols. And that goes back to like Pun was laying out with all the different papacy rules and them thinking they're above kings and gods. And even today with our athletes and our Hollywood and our, all these people that we think we worship, supermodels and stuff. It's like, and billionaires, we worship them for things without even knowing who they are as people.
I want to, once you get through with what you need to say, a lot of people are saying, well, why does the Vatican look like a snake? What about reptilians? I don't want to get too conspiratorial, but why is it shaped like a snake? Why is the inside and the outside of the Vatican shaped like a snake? Why is it so evil? Why is it so deceptive?
The story of Adam and Eve.
Back to the story of Adam and Eve. Exactly. There we go.
Well, let me say two things real quick. Before I answer that, I want to go back to Stop to Go about one thing when he talked about indulgences. Now, the Vatican actually taught its people. Are y'all still there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, my screen went blank. The Vatican actually taught its people, when you put the coin into the box, when you hear the cling of that coin hitting other coins, they taught the people in the Roman Catholic Church that when you hear that cling, that's your sins being forgiven. So they're saying that they have the power to forgive man for their sins. They are taking the role of God. That's what the Pope has done. Another thing, going back to the Vatican and the snake. What does the snake represent? What is the oldest secret society known to man? The Brotherhood of the Snake.
Okay.
That goes all the way back to Pythagoras 6,000 years ago in Egypt. He is actually the one that invented the mathematical calculation of the pyramid. He created the first secret society, the Brotherhood of the Snake, that worshipped Baal.
Wow.
Did I lose anybody?
No, I'm here. I'm trying to type it in.
Okay. But no, I just wanted to say that real quick. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, this is crazy. In the one of the new translation, it says of John 2:14, it says, in the temple he saw merchants selling oxen and sheep and doves for sacrifices. He also saw basically dealers at tables exchanging foreign money. So that he was really mad to see this in the temple. You have to understand, like, he's basically seeing these coins issued under the name of God. Like Pun says, the sound of the coin hitting the little bucket that you're putting it into is the ring of God. They're saying that the sound of money is the sound of God. They were so corrupting the language and the what religion is supposed to stand for, what values are supposed to stand for, and
correct.
Where they're supposed to.
It's just besmirching everything, bro.
Well, let me say this real quick. Okay.
Well, real quick before you say something, I definitely have to say this. Rook Castle, thank you for donating the 30 big ones. I appreciate it. She says, blessings, bro. Absolutely, Rook Castle. Thank you. And anybody else who wants to go through the super chat, it'll flash across the screen. Sign up on Patreon. You can do PayPal as well. And let's get to 1,000 likes. We're almost there without even asking. So hit that like button if you're enjoying the show. I would greatly appreciate it. And for having these two gentlemen on. Continue, Pun. Sorry about that.
No, it's cool. But I was going to say, if anyone thinks anything has changed since those days, ask yourself right now, what is tithing in the church? Why is it pushed so much, and what does it represent?
Right.
Nothing's changed. Nothing.
Tithings. I don't know. I don't know why I just said that, but
now here's the thing. Do you truly believe God cares about your money?
No.
No.
Oh, you mean Pun? You mean the money with the pyramid on it, and the owl, and stuff like that? That really does remind me of America, right?
The Canaanite worship.
Yeah, exactly. It all comes full circle with when we have our we have our money with a pyramid and an owl on it. And we're giving it to a giant monopoly of churches that are just stealing from us in real time.
And that's why I actually stopped going to church, because I used to go to Abilene Church here in Augusta, Georgia. And they would tithe 4 times in one sermon. And I'm just like, hold on, no, this don't seem right. And it was shortly after that there were several people in the pulpit that not only that they got caught and they were suspended from the church because they were using that money and taking personal vacations and buying cars and all this other stuff, but 2 of them were actually arrested because they fondled little kids.
There you go. It just goes through, and it's through and through. I listen. It happens all day long within the Catholic Church, especially within the Vatican. It just continues to happen. Oh my goodness! Real quick, from Darlene. Thank you so much for the 45 bones. I appreciate it. I'm loving all of the truths you've shown me already. Thank you, and God bless you all. Where we go one, we go all. Darlene, thank you so much, sweetie pie. I appreciate that. Thank you. Very generous. Thank you.
Here's the thing, Thomas. That was a Southern Baptist church.
Sure.
Not Catholic. But remember what I said. The Vatican has influence over every church and religion throughout the world. A lot of people don't understand that the Roman polytheism that's been indoctrinated into Christianity has spread into every church throughout the world.
In every religion?
Yes, every one. That's when I say, when you're reading the Bible, before you read one damn word, you better pray and tell God to guide you on every single word, because if someone is reading that word to you, a pastor, he might not have the best intentions.
No, and I think if we use discernment, I think if we go with our gut feeling, me and Stop to Go were talking about that earlier. where we use our, all three of us were off camera talking about, using our gut feeling and what we feel right and who to trust and who not to trust. I think once you make your way into the front doors of a church, you sit down, you kind of get a feel for it. If it's not for you, then leave. I've done it many a time, and I actually found a place that I find very comfortable, and it feels very genuine, and that's the best thing about it. And you can tell when someone does not have the best intentions for those who are within the walls of the church.
Yeah,
absolutely. And very well said.
Let me say this, not to get like too complaining sounding, but I'm just going to mention one more thing about that church.
Okay, sure.
If you're a small, tiny little church, like on a dirt road somewhere, and they ask for tithing, I can kind of understand that. Okay, I can get that. I can accept that. But when you're in a 4-story major church, and the pastor lives in a 3-story house and has 5 cars, and they're tithing 4 times before the first sermon is over, if that's not a red flag for you to get your ass out of that church, I don't know what is.
Yep.
I completely agree. And with that being said, Kevin Danos, thank you, Kevin Danos. I greatly appreciate it. He says, thanks for the 30 bones. He says, great show, guys. Keep up the data drop. It really is needed for the normies. Thanks to President Trump and all fellow patriots. And remember, where we go one, we go all. In Jesus and for Jesus, we hold together. Well said, Kevin. I greatly appreciate that, my friend. Thank you so much for the donation and the generosity. A lot of work goes into this show, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Go ahead, my friends.
So
is the show?
Yeah, I actually wanted to go real quick. I got through the first 2 things that Jesus said.
Okay.
And that was, do not worship me, do not worship false idols. What was one of the third and fourth things he said? He said that he wanted people to bless what they consumed. So he said, if you eat something, bless it, and thank it. It's given its life for your sustenance. If you drink the nectar of a fruit, thank it. It's given its life for your sustenance. And we, that to me was less the satanic, cannibalistic type of direction they took it in the Catholic Church. It was more Jesus trying to teach people who didn't and weren't privy to kosher traditions, just the idea of, praying for thanks and your sustenance, and that being thankful that this fruit or this animal, whatever that you chose to consume, that it's given its life for your sustenance, and that, you should
correct.
And that's what he was saying. He definitely, at no point did Jesus say, and I mean, I know what the book says, and I know it was very wordy when you really look at it. He was talking about eternal life. And he's saying, if you drink my blood, you get eternal life. Well, that sounds a little bit weirder in 2020 than it did, say, 5 years ago.
Exactly.
No, and somebody posted that earlier in the chat. I don't remember the name, but yeah, eat from my body, drink from my body. It's a little strange. And somebody brought up earlier.
Let me tell you, Thomas, one of the things.
Well, let me say this real quick, because maybe you can go into this as well. People are also talking about the Christmas tree and how that is also quite strange.
Yes.
And we don't have to get into that, but if people want to look into that, they can. But if you want to go into it, stop to go, you're more than welcome to. Or pun, whatever.
Yeah, that's actually just that's the Saturnalia, and it was basically saying don't ever bring a dead tree in your house and adorn it with gold and silver, which is what we do every year on supposedly Christ's birthday.
Bingo.
So we're So what's crazy is what you saw in the church was an enormous change, and that change was so much so that you would, let's just say, if you were you were there with all good intentions and you thought the church had great intentions, you would never see it in a million years. You wouldn't see it. But when you are, say, an altar boy and you go in the back room that no one else gets to see, and you see how these people act when no one else sees them acting around little children, and you see the business behind the business, you start to see that it's not what it is. They're not the same people when they go outside.
Correct.
So what my point was is that a lot of things changed in our temples, in our churches, in our places of worship that we weren't even noticing. One, stained glass. Stained glass was first implemented into the churches because people couldn't afford Bibles. So they would tell the story of Christ through stained glass, false light, stained glass. So then they changed. A lot of the churches have red carpets, especially on the altar. An altar with red carpets signifies a lot. A priest wearing red and white is signifying, virginity and blood, and he's wearing, all the different things. He's adorned with all the different gold behind him, and this altar that we're bowing and kneeling and singing to a mock corpse hanging on a wall of a bloody dead Christ. And if Christianity was supposed to be taken verbatim, why do we worship a dead Christ? Why don't we represent the living Christ? Why isn't he, perceived as living on the wall? Why does he have to be dead, bloody, and hanging? And if you were Christ, would you want to come back to earth and see that in every shrine to you? Why would you want that? It's like JFK. Would you put a sniper rifle everywhere all over the country if he came back? No, probably the last thing he'd want to see is crosshairs. You know what I mean? So crosshairs. That's such a weird analogy. But so it goes back to the things that we don't know about the Vatican. And a lot of people I know, when Pun mentioned that we were going to be taking on the Vatican, I probably had 100 messages from people being like, "Oh, tell us about the 3 popes," because a lot of people don't know about it and they want to know about it. But I will tell you this: there's very little that can be found on it, and everything you can find on it is always deemed as conspiracy, before you even clicked on it. But I'll give you their 3 names, and I want you to really look into who these people are, who they've affiliated themselves with, what kind of backgrounds they have, and you'll see all you need to know about them. And so there's obviously the White Pope. Everybody knows Pope Francis. There is the Gray Pope. The Gray Pope. So
there's a White Pope, a Gray Pope, and a Black Pope.
Yep. And a Black Pope. The Gray Pope, his name is Pepe Orsini, Orsini. He's considered the most powerful of the 3. The Black Pope, his name is Adolfo Nicholas. He is considered what's called the Superior General of the Society of Jesus, which goes into the Jesuits, which I'm sure we're going to basically tackle mostly in that next crack at this, because it's definitely can't be done even in one 3-hour episode. We're
absolutely
so much history that we want to touch across as many of the most important as we could. You know what I mean? And you have to realize too, these guys, they govern what they consider. And even if you go click on their Wikipedia, it says, that they govern the quote, universal ecclesiastical jurisdiction. These people actually think they rule the universe.
Oh yeah, I mean, they're entitled. I want to say this real quick. Stop to go. Big shout out to Mikey D. What's up, Mikey D? Thank you for the 9 bones. He says, "I'm not down with the love and the light." I get that. He thinks it's new age. That's his business. This is an open platform. This is whatever you want to talk about, you can talk about. Obviously, we can't talk about everything, but it is open forum. Not down with the light and love stuff, but I appreciate the free speech of the tribe. All day, baby. Thank you, Mikey D. Continue on, my friend.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Yep.
Everyone's got their beliefs.
Correct.
That's the thing that everyone has that freedom.
Can I say one thing real quick before we get off the topic of the church? And this is before I go into what I got to go to. If you really look at Scripture, if you really read it, the church identifies yourself as the body of the church, not a building. You are the church.
What is your forehead called?
Not brick and stone and glass.
What are the sides of your foreheads called? The temples, the temporal lobe. The temple is your temple.
Yes. And to anybody listening that they think that anybody listening, if they think that they have to go to a building and give their money to get close to God, then you've already played into the system that's been built and set up for you to do that.
Wow.
This has been in 1,600 years into the making.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and if you don't believe what he's saying, go look at the 3 largest real estate holders in the world.
Exactly.
Well, gentlemen, we are approaching the top of the 2nd hour. What do you want to do? What do you want me to do?
I still got a lot more to go.
Wow.
Yes. All right. Well, let's continue on. I do want us to. I want to take a break real quick. Not just a very short break. I do have to use the restroom. And if you guys want to continue on talking, I can come back, or I can put up a be right back.
Yeah, why don't
and we can take a minute.
Why don't you let Pun just go ahead and keep ripping, because he's killing it. I love it. I'm learning.
Well, no,
something new
do
myself.
be right back, because I'm gonna go use it as well.
All right, so we're gonna take a just a quick break. I can throw that up real quick. I can put on some jams for everybody. So just give us a moment, and we will be right back after we use the restroom. So stick around. Make sure during this break you hit the like button, you share it. If you want to donate, become a Patreon, do that as well. And if you want to take a break yourself, get your popcorn, pop it, get yourself a beer, whatever you want to do what you need to do, and we will be right back.
Right on. All right, we good?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, let me bring us back in. Boom. And we are back. Let everyone in the chat let me know if we are 5x5 again, if you can hear me, Pun, and Stop to Go 5x5, that we're good to go. I saw that Zoom was glitching a lot as I got up and walked away, so if a 5x5 throughout the chat would be great. And don't forget to smash that like button on the way as well. Perfect. 5x5. Go ahead and continue on, Pun.
All right. So I kind of want to go into a little bit more deeper, if you can really say that, into this
Sure.
subject.
Mhm.
So the obelisk was customs of the ancients who worshiped the sun god.
Okay.
It was in the form of a pillar, and it was typically in a pillar with a pyramid on top. And Stop to Go kind of told us the whole perverted story of what the pillar actually represents. So I'm not going to cover that part, but the pillar at the top represents the Egyptian sun god Ra. In front of the Catholic Church, you'll find an obelisk almost in the front of almost every Catholic church, which has the sun underneath the cross at the top of the pyramid of the pillar. And that sun represents the worship of Babylon. Tammuz, the sun god, had used the cross for thousands of years before Christ.
Okay.
Going back to ancient Babylon.
Mhm.
Egyptians used the Ankh cross, which came from the ancient Cheliadon region. The Chelidon Empire, I'm hoping I'm saying that right. I'm probably butchering it.
It's okay.
Cheldrion, it's weird. The empire used that cross all across ancient Egypt as a form of worship to the sun god Tammuz. Now, you're probably wondering who the hell is Tammuz. Okay. The Pantheon in Rome is the oldest standing building in Rome, period. The Pantheon was built in 125 AD by Emperor Hadrian, and it was dedicated to the sun god. Pope Boniface IV converted it into a Catholic church. So the actual church of the sun god was converted into the Catholic church. The Pantheon was the temple of worship for the sun god and most famous for its dome, which is in the center. In the center of the dome is what you call an oculus, which represents the sky and the universe. This is the same dome that can be found in St. Peter's Basilica, as well as among many other churches related to the Roman Catholic Church. If you actually look at it, the dome in almost every Roman Catholic church, they have a big hole at the top where the sun's shining through. That represents the sun god.
Okay.
So why is sun and fire so important to the Vatican? Alexander Hislop, a historian, says that the use of candles comes from pagan rites. Quoted by Alexander Hislop. In the Molucca Islands, wax papers are used to worship Nito, the devil, whom these islanders adore. Am I catching everybody here?
Yeah, you got me.
The use of these candles in churches comes from sun worship. It's not a Christian ideal. Now, even during Mass, when priests raise the round bread illuminated in symbology to the paganism, as the priest raises it in elevation, the Canaanite, I know you just heard Stop to go talking about that.
Yes.
City of Hazard uses both hands to raise the sun, or in praise of the sun god, as did the same thing with Egyptians. Now, when the Pope raises the bread with his hands, he raises it with both hands in front of the sun. Have y'all seen that?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I had it on the screen earlier. I can bring that back up if I can find it.
That is not the bread of Christ. That is the bread of the God of the sun. Everybody has been fooled.
And same as when they use the cup of wine or the glass of wine they turn it upside down and put the flame out.
We have yet to touch on this. We've talked about what you were talking about before, Pun. As you can look on your screen right now, talk about this for a second, please.
All right. Pope Benedict, let's see here. Jesuit. Yeah.
Oh, this is the St. Peter's Basilica painting.
Yeah, the silica painting.
Yes.
The St. Peter's Basilica painting of Lucifer.
Now, that is the catacombs below the Vatican. That's what I'm going to cover next episode in detail.
Well, can we touch on it right now as it's on the screen?
Give them a little taste.
As far as right now, I could just tell you that's the catacombs of what's underneath the Vatican. It contains pretty much a lot of pagan symbology, sculptures, scriptures, and among other things. I wanted to go into that. I really did. And that, unfortunately, I didn't have enough time to get into this episode.
Okay. But just touch on it for a second to stop to go. Just for a second. I don't want to go too into detail, but it just adds on to the story of how terrible this place truly is.
Well, let me say it like this.
We actually talked. Yeah.
All of those rooms contain paganism. They contain Luciferian and very not Christian sculptures, paintings, poems, scriptures, all kind of stuff that has nothing to do with Jesus Christ whatsoever, and they're very heavily kept under security. Now, this is underneath the Vatican. So you got to think to yourself, why does the Vatican protect such pagan idolatry so much? And one of those, and I'm going to cover this in the next episode, but I don't have enough time tonight. One of those, and I believe it's room, I'm not sure, I think it's C, is a sacrificial chamber to Baal underneath the Vatican. Yes.
Where they recently found a bunch of children bones.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, okay. So I heard about that as well. Let me bring this over here just to lead that up. Go ahead, continue.
With this or with what I was on?
No, with the children bones. I've actually talked about that on a podcast. And we can just touch on that for a second. There was actually a giant news article, thousands of bones discovered at the Vatican. This is actually CNN. So if they're talking about it, there you go.
They brushed it off very big. They said, oh well, they thought it was a missing girl that had gone missing, so they
correct.
It wasn't the missing girl, therefore no big deal. It's like, well, wait a minute. There's a bunch of child bones at the Vatican, underneath the Vatican. What the F?
Yes.
So, what's crazy too is there's an article that we covered, I believe, in one of the first episodes where we talked about there's the article in you can look it up. Devil lives under the Vatican, and the fourth in command of the Vatican, the chief exorcist of the Vatican, said very plainly in a mainstream media published article that the devil, quote, the devil lives under the Vatican, and more specifically in St. Peter's Basilica, where there all of these pagan worships to him. Like the painting that you see is a depiction of Lucifer in blood.
Yes, and let me say this real quick. Let me say this real quick. That same priest that said that the devil was in the Vatican, he had to do an exorcism on a Vatican priest.
Wow.
And the Saint Peter was hung on a cross, same as Christ, except he was hung on a cross upside down. The cross was upside down, and that's where we get the upside down cross that you'll see in Saint Peter's Basilica too, because there's an upside down cross dedicated to him there.
Good gracious!
In the Vatican. An actual upside down cross in the Vatican. And there's upside down crosses on the windows. There's upside down crosses. There were upside down crosses on the Pope's throne. There were upside down crosses everywhere. They're everywhere.
Yeah, and I like it when Chelsea Clinton wears one and Hillary wears one, and all of the people that seem to be in power love to wear an inverted cross across their heart.
How about Linda Gates? What about Linda Gates?
Yeah, Linda Gates, who can who can bench press me. So it's a.
Okay, she can't beat me on that. So.
No, I was gonna reference that as well, but yeah.
Fun, but definitely me and Thomas.
Yeah.
Combined.
What a vile, gross human being, and that's another thing. We don't have to touch on it, but I mean, just if you think about Big Mike, you think about all these women, Chuck Schumer's wife, you could think of Bill Gates' wife. Everything is inverted. You can think of the gentleman that Dwayne Wade, who played for the Miami Heat, his son. You can look at Magic Johnson, his son. Everything is inverted, my friends. Everything is inverted. And you can see what they're doing with Disney. You can see what they're doing on Netflix. Everything has to be inverted, changing a man into a woman. The lines must be blurred because it actually pleases the, in quote, fallen entity or deity that they worship. It pleases them.
Yes.
Well,
they want to promote that transgenderism and all that stuff because it's a level of confusion. And that's why I would tell people who have maybe their favorite actress or their favorite supermodel that they're always so infatuated with. I would say to them, be careful, because that person you might be infatuated with may or may not be transgender too, because they like to push their models and actresses to make us adorn them and lust after them when they may or may not be transgender.
Yeah, absolutely, and this is a thing, man. And I think we all notice it. And I don't want to get on a tangent. I just want to say this statement. We can continue on, but you could think of Hollywood. You could think of TV. None of this is being created anymore. Television is gone. Movies are gone. Sports is gone. Everyone's turning their back on these false idols. I don't look up to these people anymore like a child. I look up to my God. as the child of God and not to these people. Remember, 17 told us, do not worship the stars that are created before you.
They're just men and women.
Well, do y'all want to go a little bit deeper down the rabbit hole, if that's possible?
If it's possible, let's go.
All right. Well, it was 2800 BC. Lived a man by the name of Nimrod. Stop to go. Don't say nothing. I know you want to say something. All right.
I'm gonna let you fly with this one.
Nimrod grew the respect of his people and inspired them to build a Tower of Babel.
Mm-hmm.
Semiramis, Nimrod's wife, insisted that Nimrod become the sun god. After Nimrod's death, she cut him into pieces, sending it to each tribe of Babylon. She also claimed that Nimrod was in. It was what was it? 11.
14. And this 14. Is, hold on. Only reason I wanted to mention this. The only reason I wanted to mention this is because I know everyone's seen that picture of John Podesta. So this is what ties together the conspiracy. John Podesta had the picture with his hands up with the 14 and the fish.
Okay, yeah, you're right. It is 14. Yeah, it is right. You're right.
The reason why it was the 14 and the fish was because they, like he said, he was chopped into 14 pieces. Well, the 14th piece was the penis, and so it was supposedly swallowed by a whale or a fish, and that's why he had a 14 and a fish, is because that's exactly what they worship.
Wow, what a tie-in, folks!
Oh yeah.
I don't know where I got 11 from. I knew that, but my mind went somewhere else. Sorry.
I'll tell you what, when you see as many numbers and stories and links as
well, their numerology, they adore it. They adore numerology. People say, oh, there's that bombing that happened in Beirut. Whatever took place there was on the one of the anniversaries of, I believe, something big happened. And, every time something happens where there's a giant catastrophe where people die, it's 99.9% of the time a sacrifice. These people adore numerology. They are pleasing their false gods.
Yes. It's always around a solstice date, which is where they do the most of their little works like that.
Correct.
They have to. It's their closest moment with those celestial bodies.
All right, now let me continue because we're getting short on time.
Yep.
Okay, after she sends all of the pieces of Nimrod to the tribes of Babylon, she also claimed that Nimrod was reincarnated as her son, Tammuz. Semiramis ruled over Babylon with her young son Tammuz, who she thought was Nimrod. She convinced people into worshiping her. Monuments of Semiramis carrying Tammuz in her arms were set up all over Babylon, along with many images symbolizing the sun god, which you'll find all over the Vatican.
Wow.
Idolatry spread through many countries after the Tower of Babylon collapsed. When the Babylonians were defeated, they scattered across the world, bringing the sun and the mother-child worship across many countries and cultures. Now, when you see the sculpture of Mary holding Jesus, do you really think that's Mary holding Jesus? This was in 2800 BC. Think about that. Nimrod was the sun god, also known as Mithra in Persia, Sol in Rome, Ra or Horus in Egypt, and Apollo in Greece. Semiramis and Tammuz was the idolatry mother-child worship centuries before Christ, such as Egypt had Isis and Horus, Greece had Venus and Dionysus, Rome had Diana and Attis, and Israel had Ashtaroth and Tammuz.
Hey, I want to blow your mind with one name. Can I do that?
Let's go.
One of the Canaanite gods, which was known as the creator, his name was Elyon or Elon, E-Y-L-O-N. Sound familiar? Elon?
Yeah, a little bit. Reminds me of Mr. Musk.
Yes, and it's also translated to Aaliyah, like we've had an artist with that name.
Yeah, who was
And
sacrificed.
It also is where we get the word. It's also where we get the word alien.
Ah. I actually heard that Aaliyah was sacrificed.
She was, yes.
Yes. 100%.
Mm-hmm. There you
I
go.
believe that 100%.
Everything around us, guys. That's why I think that when the president says that we are special people, I've been saying this on the podcast. When the president says we are special people, we truly are. He knows. We are learning to know this now. And it's just amazing to see how much evil has circumferenced us. And we are breaking through it in real time because of shows like this.
Yes, I 100% agree with that.
I've been wanting to do a show like this for a while, and until I found Stop to Go, I couldn't do it. And thank God I found him.
Yes.
And thank God for Thomas for putting together the platform that brought us all together too, man. Because without that, we're all just a bunch of people screaming into the wind.
Yeah, absolutely. We all came together for a reason, and that's what happens. That everyone who's in the chat, everyone who follows the channel, everyone who follows either one of us, it's all meant to be. This is the path that we're supposed to be taking.
Right.
There's no doubt
let me continue with this.
In my mind, that God put us together.
Correct.
Yes. Let me continue with this before people get a little bit cloudy and sidetracked.
We do have to take calls soon as well.
Yeah. Now, this brought the image of the goddess holding her baby, which is what I just mentioned, around the world centuries before the statue of Mary holding Jesus. This happened long ago, but it was really the Mary holding Jesus. What was missing? Why was the book of Mary missing out of the Bible? Does anybody really know that?
Fill us in.
Mother Mary or Mary Magdalene? Why would there be a birthright bloodline of Mary Magdalene that would be hidden?
That's a question for next episode, and I will get into that. But I have to continue because we're running short. In most cases, Jesus nested in Mary's arms. This actually downgrades Jesus as to he can do nothing without Mary. And this was set up long ago. As of today, Catholics think more highly of Mary than they actually do Jesus. Mary is called the Son of God. All right? Now, which interprets that she is above God, which is completely against the actual word of God and what he's saying. So if God simply used her womb, why would he label, or why be labeled by the Catholic Church as the Mother of God? So the Vatican built around this the sun god, who basically is the sun god, more or less. But many domes and symbolisms can be found throughout the Vatican, including St. Peter's Basilica and St. Peter himself, including the sun disk. And Thomas, that's what I think I sent that to you right before the show.
And the sun cross.
Yeah, and there's actually a sun disk around the head of the actual statue of St. Peter. Can you pull that up real quick?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
and there's a sun cross in every single Catholic church in America too.
And the sun subscribed above his statue.
Is this what you want me to show? Hold on. I'm sorry.
It's the actual St. Peter statue. He's got a crest above his head. It's literally
yes. Let me bring that up for you. That it's kind of hard to see. I may have lost it. Bring this back in. Is it? Tell me it one more time, and I'll bring it back up.
It's the sun crest that sits on the head of St. Peter's statue. It's not above him, it's literally on him.
Yes.
But
might be called sun crown.
Yeah, I mean if you're using
there you go. There you go.
There you go. That's it.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Now you can find these same images all throughout the Vatican, and beneath the higher altar, which is right above St. Peter Basilica's tomb.
Mm-hmm.
You see it right underneath the high altar, right above him. The Pope's wardrobe, utensils, etc. I mean, you can find that symbol all over the Vatican. Yeah, I mean, even if you look, if you want to pull it up, you can find that same symbolism on the Pope's wardrobe.
Mm-hmm.
You can find the sun image in all Catholic churches, actually, all over the place. They're everywhere. Some may find a dove, and this is another thing. You may find a dove in the middle of the sun symbol. Now, in ancient religion of sun worship, the sun was depicted as a bird. This was originated in Egypt in 4046 BC, known as, guess who? Horus.
Wow.
The son of Assyria was represented as a winged bird. The Egyptian sun god Ra and Horus are in the shape of a bird. So if you see that bird in the middle of the sun symbol, that does not represent hope, and the sun does not represent Jesus Christ. It represents Horus. All right. The high altar of St. Peter's Basilica has an image of the sun with the bird in it, if you can try to pull that up.
Are you looking now or no? This looks like everything. There's the 3-tiered crown. Above him is the bird, and then above the bird is that 3-tiered crown, if you want to look at your screen.
Yes, that's close, but the best one is right above St. Peter's Basilica. It's right underneath his high altar, which it shows literally that same sun symbol with a bird in the middle of it.
Is this it?
No.
All right.
That's the high altar right there. It's right underneath that, straight above it.
Yeah, I can't. Wow, just look at this. This is crazy.
Now, the thing a lot of people need to understand is that bird does not represent hope like the Vatican teaches you. It does not.
Mm-hmm.
Now, offering bread and wine to the bird is not an offering to the Holy Spirit. You're offering it to the sun god, Horus.
Wow. These statues within the Vatican are absolutely insane. I don't even think I would ever want to step foot in this place.
After you've been through this episode, I don't think you do.
You might be canceling your vacation plans after this.
Yeah.
But I think so far that's about all I got, because if I get too much into any other subject,
I was going to say, considering how much we've dropped just now.
There's a lot I have thrown up just now. If you guys want to call in and talk about this quickly, this has been over a 2-hour show. And I know a lot of people are saying that, some people are for this, some people are against this, some people are confused, some people have many, many, many questions. So if you do want to call in, the number is on the screen, and if you want to call in, you most certainly can, but we've got to keep it quick. And make sure
we certainly didn't create this research. This research.
No, correct.
Found it. We wanted to bring it to everyone's attention.
Absolutely, this should be brought to people's attention.
We definitely want you to learn.
Well, let me reflect on that real quick.
Sparked.
If anyone doesn't believe what we're putting out, that's what we want. We want you to just pay attention to it. So if you don't believe it, you can go and do your own research. We don't want you to blindly believe us, because if you did, you're the same sheep as everybody else. We don't want you to do that.
Exactly.
Correct. Do your own research, figure it out on your own. And, I really hope that...
Ask God to guide you.
Oh, well said, Stop to Go. Ask God to guide you, absolutely. And, it is a thing that these gentlemen have put together for the past 2 weeks. So I hope you're, thoroughly impressed. And if you are, make sure you follow all three of us on Twitter. Make sure you hit that like button and support real information that comes out, like on this channel. I would really appreciate it. We'll wait for a couple people to call in, and make sure you stick around, guys. And I really hope each and every one of you have thoroughly enjoyed this. We're going to go ahead and take a call real quick. If you do not want your number on the screen, make sure you change it. You're more than welcome to. I have allowed that. And let's go ahead and bring in 7700. Go ahead. I'm asking to unmute you. 7700, what's up? 7700, what's up? Are you there? Yes, I can hear you. Who is this?
Hey guys, it's Patriot Angel. How are you?
Hi, Patriot Angel. How are you?
I love you guys.
We love you too.
Great show tonight.
Beautiful.
A quick question. Oh, thank
Sure.
you. A quick question on the Bohemian Grove, because I'm from California originally.
Mhm.
You kind of piqued my interest since that's wine country, and there's so many underground cellars. And then you think about all the underground like chambers and tunnels, and like, do you guys know anything about that, or is that?
Yeah.
Yes, is that
Wine
coming up?
country.
Because I've done a ton of wine tours.
It's surrounded by nothing but counties full of wine cellars that go into mountains. If you remember, do you remember a little show called To Catch a Predator?
Yes.
Well, that show To Catch a Predator was filmed in Rohnert Park, Cotati, and Petaluma in its first few episodes. Well, all those cities are the 3 surrounding cities around Bohemian Grove.
Wow.
So that just, lets you know what's
The correlation is uncanny, bud.
Hey,
Yeah.
Thomas,
Yes.
do you have the phone number showing?
Yep. But they can change it.
I just got a text saying that they can't see the phone number.
That they cannot?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, if they can't see the phone number, then that's fine. But they can also change their phone number as well.
The call-in number.
Oh, it's hidden. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, it went away. There you go. It's back up.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yep.
There we go. But that's actually a great question. I'm glad you asked it.
Very good question. Yeah, I mean, you can imagine that. Oh, we have wine cellars. Sure, I wonder where those. You have doors that lead into other, catacombs, and then, I mean, it has to be. It's inevitable that these things exist.
There's definitely a lot more underground to that area than there is above ground to the campsite. And if you know the area, you know that the whole San Francisco Bay Area all the way to Tahoe was gold mining country during the gold rush. And so what also happened during, after that time period was the bootlegging during the, Prohibition. And so a lot of the area has bootlegging tunnels. If there's an old vaudeville house, they'd have little tunnels going to different restaurants underneath, because that's how they would move the alcohol back and forth for their concerts when they weren't allowed to have it.
Correct.
So it's that whole area is just fraught with that kind of, building.
Oh yeah, definitely. Patriot Angel, thank you so much for the call, and I want to hit everybody as. We really do. Thank you for being short and quick and to the point and with a great question. I really appreciate it.
All right. Good night, guys.
All right. Good night. All right. That's how it should roll. That's how we want to roll. Let's go ahead and bring in another person. 3370. 3370. Welcome to the show. Remember to unmute yourself. I asked you to, 3370. I know this may slow us down a bit, but that's okay. 3370, please unmute yourself. We can go ahead and bring in another caller as well. Let's do 5548. 5548, welcome to the show. 5548, welcome to the show. Oh, dear.
Another one?
Hello?
Hi, 3370. What's up?
Hi. I have a quick question.
Yes.
I heard you guys talking about the Book of Mary and Mary Magdalene's genealogy, and I've never heard of that before, and I was curious on what you guys were talking about.
Yes, the Vatican would make you think that that's not something important, but we feel otherwise.
Well, here's another thing. It's like, and like just Thomas just said just a minute ago before he started the call-ins. A lot of people may not agree with this. All that was set up deliberately. It's been centuries of indoctrination, and a lot of this information is not easy to find. You can't Google this and just it's going to pop up something right away. It's
Right.
It's going to take a little bit of research, and I know not everybody has the time to do that. I get that, but it's going to have to take you. And we're going to go into it a little bit more the next episode to kind of shed some light on it. But you're going to have to do your own research and use your own discernment.
Yes.
Okay.
But it is there, and you can definitely count on, because of patriots that are out there doing great research and getting it out there, it's becoming harder and harder for these people to hide. Like you see with Twitter, they're having to delete entire accounts because they just can't stop the flow of information. And what I will tell you is that it's slowly rising to the top. You're starting to see the truth slowly make its way through all the mist into clarity, and that's what you're seeing, even with just by finding this channel and finding that little notion that sparked you. It's definitely something that I guarantee you will catch your attention in research and get you where you need to go.
Exactly. All right. Thank you, guys. Oh, True Reporting.
Awesome.
I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever thought of having Kathy O'Brien on the show? Maybe hit up Roseanne Barr and have her connect you, get an interview with Kathy, maybe.
Oh, I mean, I could. I haven't spoken with Roseanne, and since she was last on the show, we emailed a couple times afterward. But since then, no such luck. But yeah, I mean, if I can maybe delve deep into that and see if I could find a way to get her on. I think the next person to come on the show is actually someone who is focuses on the spirit realm. I think that's going to be the next big interview. They actually have a paranormal channel that's going to come on. But you said Kathy O'Brien?
Yeah, Kathy O'Brien.
I will see if I can get her on. That's not
brave.
a problem.
That woman is extremely brave.
Definitely.
She's a badass. I love her.
Well, sweetie, I thank you for calling in. I really mean that, and thanks for being loyal to the channel.
Oh, yeah. Anytime. Thank you guys so much for what you do. It's much appreciated.
I hope you enjoyed it.
The truth.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. Another great call. Let's go ahead and try again. 5548. 5548. Are you there? If you're not, I'm going to have to get rid of yous. I'll give you a minute. Let's go ahead and take another caller. We got a lot of them, so be conscientious of those ahead of you. 8988, welcome to the show. 8988, welcome to the show. All you have to do is click unmute, and you'll be good to go. 8988, welcome to the show. Trying to get them to click over. Most people have a delay. I understand it's like a 30-second delay. 5548 is not.
It mutes you when you come in.
What's that?
It automatically mutes you when you come in, so you got to click the little microphone bar or in the bottom left corner.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's all they have to do. I'm asking them to unmute, so that they can come in. We can bring in somebody else just in the meantime, just to keep things going. Hello. Oh, 8988, are you there?
Hey, yeah, by the way, like I'm on my phone, but it's making me push *6. Do you want to unmute on your phone?
Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. What's your name, bud?
Trippy.
This is Roswell native, Lancelot.
What's up, bud? What's your question for these gentlemen?
What's happening, bud?
Hey, so I got a good question for you guys. You know, as far as all this pagan idolatry and all that, if you really get into the story of how Jesus was conceived, is it out of the question for a boy to be born a virgin? There's really only one way. I'm just going to throw this out there. That's a C-section. Otherwise, you're touching your mom's you-know-what on the way out. And if you want to get into, like, why circumcision is required, I don't really think it's a religious thing. I think it's more of, like, a clean, unclean thing, kind of common sense. But the fact of the matter is the wise men came through, right? The wise men came through there from India. They've been performing hysterectomies for almost 4,500 years from that region where the wise men came from.
Interesting.
So it's not too much out of the question. Well, and it's called a C-section. Why?
Christ section. I don't know.
Cesarean
Caesarean section.
Yes.
Correct.
As in Caesar.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you get into all that. The other thing
I never
is,
heard that before.
so check. Well, my wife's actually the one that came up with it. She said, "Do you think God required circumcision because boys touched their mom on the way out?" Because I made fun of her when she was having a boy. I was like, "You know, your son's wiener is going to touch your shit." Kind of weird. And it was just whatever. But I mean, to be blunt, you know, I had the thought, and when you're up all night with newborns and shit, and you say things that, like, you know, unfiltered, right?
Sure.
But then a few months later, she comes back to me with that question. I was like, well, that makes more sense to me than any other thing I've ever heard. I mean, the only way a boy could be of a virgin birth would be a C-section, just to physically speak. And I think everything with God and Christ comes kind of physical, spiritual, both at the same time, which is your third, you know, 1 + 2 = 3. But the other thing I was going to go back to is you guys touched on a lot of how the church basically adulterated or abhorred the actual gospel. And I'll just refer you again to Matthew 16:18-23, when he tells Peter to his face, "You're the rock upon which my church will be built." And then he calls him Satan 5 verses later. That's not to say that the church is of Satan, but it's kind of blunt in what it says. I mean, it says, "You're the rock my church will be built upon." Then he calls him Satan. I don't know how else you can truly look at that, but it's not too hard when you get into the Vatican. I mean, it's kind of blunt, but that doesn't change.
I think that was a part of the translation issue. I believe that was a part of the translation issue, because you have to remember the English and modern English translations as compared to the 300 different potential Hebrew translations, you know, that
no doubt
there's a lot of give. Well, there's a lot of room for you know, where it starts to make a lot more sense when you get into etymology.
Stop to go. Let me say this real quick. I'm going to actually go into the indiscrepancies in the Bible on the next episode. That's going to cover all that.
Nice.
I've heard the argument of the pebble and things like that, and I get that. And I it's not to say that Satan built the church, but what it is to say is that his church. Now, I don't think Jesus ever asked to be worshipped. In fact, every time anyone got down on their hands and knees, he told them to get right back up. You know, in Revelations, he tells John of Patmos, tells him flat out, you know, he bows down. He tells him to stand up, because he says, "You're no longer a servant to me, because a servant doesn't know his master's business." You know, and then the other thing I'll refer you to is the ideology in a Galilean wedding. In fact, Kevin Sorbo's has a movie out called Before the Wrath, which is actually really fire if you want to understand the true concept that even Christ didn't know the hour he would return, because it says only the Father knows the hour.
Yep.
And when you look at the tradition of a Galilean wedding, it's clear as day. And everyone thinks that we're going to have to be lifted up through some rapture to come off the face of the earth so it could be destroyed. But we all know that dimensions exist. So the world as we know it can be destroyed with us all standing here. So to elevate us above where we are now, you don't physically have to be taken in a spaceship. And trust me, I live in Roswell, New Mexico. If there was spaceships flying around all the place, I would love to take pictures of them, but there's just not down here. Not to say they don't exist. But what I'm saying is to look at things more. It's always, I think anything out of Christ's mouth is always spiritual, physical, and both. And then to leave you on this note, the eclipse that we had, the Great American Eclipse, went through 7 Salems and ended in Raleigh, North Carolina, right? Well, 7 years after that, in 2024, we're going to have the Great Mexican Eclipse. Now, it's going to cross paths right in Knox, Tennessee. That's the same spot they signed the treaty saying they would never inhabit, basically the Midwest, and that they would leave it to the Sioux. It's also the location of Fort Knox. I'll leave that there. But for a golden ladder to reach down, for us to be elevated, all these things can be taken so literal that it's hard to understand. But a gold standard currency is a golden ladder reaching down to pull us up and to elevate us. Christ
it's
also
the one
said
thing
that
not made from man's hands. You know, it's that, like I said, that came from a supernova, so that would be something that we didn't create.
And 8980. I gotta take some more calls, my man. I really do.
No doubt.
Some great points. I appreciate the calling, brother.
Thanks, pal. I appreciate it. We're gonna take maybe 1 or 2 more, and then we gotta get out of here. Let's try again. I'm going to try it again. 3775. Welcome to the show. 3775. If they do not answer, I have one more to go. Oh, 3775. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Thomas. Hey, guys. How are y'all tonight? Thanks for such a great show.
Hey, you're welcome. What's your name?
Right on. Thank you.
My name is Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Thomas, I love your show. Gentlemen, I look forward to hearing and seeing more from you. Definitely.
Beautiful.
It's wonderful. I've got a couple of quick questions. You've got me going on some tangent.
Sure.
It's interesting that Horus and the other god-men legends could have all sprung from the home of the Tower of Babel, where we're taught every language comes from. That might make sense why all these different cultures have that god-man. But it made me wonder, why was Nimrod so great? What did he do? Was he into that Moloch stuff? And also, one other thing I came across recently, and I was wondering, was Nimrod the one who had this Adam's snakeskin suit of invulnerability? What's up with that?
Whoa.
A few years ago,
great.
Yeah,
reference.
what about that?
Well, let's stop there. So, what was your first question? Your first question was, why was Nimrod so great? Why was he looked so highly upon?
Yeah,
and then the second one was the
all these
snakeskin
things-
suit.
That's right.
I'll answer the first question. Okay.
Okay.
The first question is, Nimrod was a great influencer. Like, he was a warrior. He was a tough SOB.
Mhm.
Like, he knew how to command his people and influence them into whatever his beliefs were, even if it was against whatever their own beliefs were.
Right.
And
Okay,
he was
all right.
he was a tribe warrior.
He had a club. In the neighborhood, everybody's got little clubs, and he was the president of the club. He was George Washington. Everybody
Yes.
looked up to him. But what did he do that's so evil that makes these other people who do suspicious things kind of cover up their love for this Sun King, this creature? Do any of them realize what's going on either?
Well, for one thing,
another
he was
great
a cannibal.
question. Yep.
Let's answer that.
Did you know he was a cannibal?
I've heard that, and that would make sense. And isn't that also kind of a two words, Cain, Abel?
Yes. Kind of,
Cannibal.
yeah. Yeah.
And I've heard that there were twins in Eve that had two different fathers.
Ooh.
And that's why.
Dude, you're pulling out
That's
some
why,
serious references here. I'm digging it.
Yeah, thanks, Thomas. I'm phrased eyebrow.
No, that was Stop to Go that said that, but I'm agreeing with Stop to Go. Yeah, that's
100%.
this is gnarly for sure.
I love it.
Well, you guys have a great show, and I know others are waiting. And hello, everyone.
There you go.
And
You brought
go
up
see
the
the
kitchen
eclipse
sixer.
next time.
Absolutely.
Sorry,
Hey, you call
about
back
it.
anytime, man.
night.
Good night. I definitely want to end.
Night, sir.
I definitely want to talk about that. What about this snake suit? Tell me about that. Do you guys know anything about that?
No, I had never heard about that, but I love when people bring up references that are going to spark more research for me. So thank you.
Yeah.
Because now I'm going to go dig in and start researching.
I
actually haven't heard of it either, so I don't really have an opinion.
We have another call. Call in user 1. What's up? I hear
Can
you.
hear me?
Yes. Who's this?
Hi, this is Mrs. G.
Hi, Mrs. G.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you all for all of your contributions to the movement and
Sure.
just for all the education. This is just amazing and just so eye-opening. I did want to share something that I was hoping to get out on Twitter, but I don't have a follower base. But I think this is something that just in plain sight, just like the obelisk and all of these different monuments that we see, is evidence that, you know, they're not hiding it anymore what they're after. So shamefully, I used to love Hollywood. We would visit it frequently when we were in California. And
We all did.
on Hollywood, I'm sorry?
We all did.
Oh, yeah. So then you
We're
have
all
the
guilty of it.
reputation. So, yeah, my goodness. So on Hollywood and Highland, where visitors flock to see all the stars, you know, the stars on the
I know it well.
there. Yeah, so this odd Egyptian arch was installed a few years ago. And I remember thinking, like, that doesn't fit in with the surroundings, and thought it was just this, like, weird installment in that area. But
You know
now
what?
being away,
But let her finish. Let her finish. Stop. I want to hear what she has to say.
Oh, yeah. So just, once I was awake and we were just sitting here watching things and I had that like, oh my gosh, I now think I know what that is. So I went back to our vacation pictures and looked. Sure enough, that is Nisroch. And Thomas, if you could maybe pull that up, just search for Hollywood and Highland, Highland, because I think the visual will really, this will just nail it. But on that arch is Nisroch, who is a fallen angel and considered the chief of cuisine to the princes of hell. So,
what does it look like? Oh, wow. I see this now.
It's a giant Egyptian center for shopping.
Yes. Let me bring this in real quick.
Awesome.
A bunch of Egyptian references.
In with anything in that
there you
area.
Go.
But now knowing what they're after, it appears to me that in the heart of Hollywood, they're flaunting the harvesting of pineal glands.
Absolutely.
So if you look kind of to the right, that's Nisroch there. And he literally, if we were able to zoom in, you would see that he's picking the pineal glands off of this. And then you have this guy to the left here just with his harvesting bowl,
Yes.
ready to help.
Mm-hmm.
But there, just in the heart of Hollywood.
Something about that block.
What's that?
Something about that block right there. If you were standing looking at that exact center that you just laid out, the Egyptian center, connected to that Egyptian center is the Grauman's Chinese Theater, where you have all the ancient Chinese dragon stuff. Well, if you were to look directly across the street, you'll see the Disney El Capitan Theater, and you'll see the Jimmy Kimmel Theater, and
right next to it.
And if you I don't know if you've ever seen this, but the Jimmy Kimmel Theater. How every other Tonight Show would say live from NBC Studios or live from ABC Studios. Well, Jimmy Kimmel doesn't do that, and it's because Jimmy Kimmel's theater is the Freemason Hollywood Temple. And if you go Google an image Jimmy Kimmel building, above it you'll see a big thing that says Freemasonry builds its temples in the hearts of men and among the nations.
You're breaking up really bad right now. Stop to go. But I want to also say right here is that right in the middle of the opening, you can see the Hollywood sign.
Yeah. Yep.
Right in the dead center of it.
Yep.
They line things up for a reason, so on and so forth. But, that is a great find right there, friend. I really appreciate that.
Nice.
And I appreciate the call as well.
Contribute even in just a little bit. Again, thank you to everyone, and God bless everyone. We will get through this. Where we go one, we go all.
Where we go one, we go all. Thank you so much for the call. Gentlemen, I think I'm going to end it there. I am definitely getting a ton of calls on my phone. And also my cat is acting a bit strange right now. I don't know what's wrong with him, but I really, really do. I think we averaged 1,500 people, if not more, the entire show. We have hit over 1.3 thousand likes, and I don't think it gets better than that, bud. I really don't. I think we should clap it up, guys. If you have not hit that like button, I would really appreciate it if you hit the like button right now. Follow these men on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter, and God bless each and every one of you. 1,700 people watching. Wow. Right now.
Wow.
So that is good. You have no idea the suppression that's on this channel. It is gone. The views have gone down because we are a threat. I've seen it time and time again. And for us to battle back through it, Punisher, stop to go, and we can get back up to these numbers, that shows we're really doing something. I know that this was a very long podcast. I know that there was a lot of information in this. So my advice to you is to watch this maybe one more time, two more times, get those views up. These shows, this is only the 4th episode. Each and every episode usually gets to about 30,000 views for a live stream. That is unheard of on this channel. And especially under the suppression and under the censorship, that is so heavily atop us. And all I can say is I thank you from the bottom of my heart to each and every one of you who are loyal, who show support, who share this, who like this, who follow these two gentlemen, who follow True Reporting. We are on Parler. We are on Twitter. We are on pretty much any platform. So, again, my friends, always a pleasure. I look forward to this every other weekend, and I know you guys do as well. So thank you.
Well, Thomas, let me say this real quick.
We're humbled by your support.
Yes.
God bless you.
What did I say before? We're just getting started.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Much more to come,
every
brother.
other week.
Every other Friday, guys, we'll do this. This was a special 3-hour show. We went 2 hours and 45 minutes. That it was a great show. I think everyone can completely agree with us. And guys, it's always a pleasure for me to hang out with you guys. You already know this. Much love to everyone, especially you two guys. Thank you.
Who listened. We love you all. We're completely humbled by your support. It's truly an experience.
Absolutely, yeah. Veda Lane says this is the best show by far. I'm loving it. Aww. Everyone's saying just getting started. Fire. It went by so fast. Love you guys. Guys, this is
thing, Thomas.
Yes.
One last thing. Next episode is going to be about the indiscrepancies of the Bible, the secrets below the Vatican, and the origins of the Rothschilds.
Woo! I like that teaser. So again, if you did not hear I'm not even going to repeat it. You're going to have to go back and listen to it. But I'm letting you know that every episode that we do, this is 2 weeks worth of research that these two gentlemen put together. We compile it. I am here to put up all the links, any of the pictures that these guys talk about. It's well put together. It flows beautifully, and this is what we will do every other Friday. So again, my friends, I really thank you. I really appreciate it. Stop to Go and Punisher, and I hope you guys have a beautiful weekend. Thanks to everyone who called in. Thank you to the mods for keeping it easy in the chat. Thanks to everyone who left a like. If you have not left a like, go ahead and do so. And if you want to become a Patreon for this channel to help keep it afloat, this channel has been demonetized. It's $9.99 a month. You're paying $120 for garbage cable. Why wouldn't you want to pay $9.99 for real news, real teachings of history, all in one? And I think you get my drift, and I hope you guys have a beautiful evening. Thanks again to Punisher and Stop to Go, and we will all see you next the following Friday. So I hope you guys have a great night and have a great weekend as well.
You too.
Take care. Bye-bye.